Chapter 1. Sea Circle Calendar 1492, North Blue. In the Greenland waters, a marine standard destroyer is breaking through the waves. In the distance, surging white waves rolled from the sky, and layers of waves came from far to near, like thousands of horses carrying a thunderous crash, hitting the bow of the warship, and smashed into pieces. Silver. The water wave behind the warship surging extremely fast, chasing it towards the warship, a figure jumped up from the water and landed on the side deck of the ship in the splash of water. This is a teenager, nearly 3 meters tall and straight, with short brown hair, dripping wet with drops of water. His face is soft, and the corners of his mouth are curved, as if smiling at all times. Amber, there was a hint of gentleness and free and easy temperament in the lustrous eyes. Put down the fishing net in your hand and pour the prey inside into a water tank on the deck. He took the towel handed by the guards next to him, wiped his body casually, put on the marine uniform next to him, put on the water tank. The boy walked across the deck to the captain's room on the back of the upper deck, knocked on the door, and then pushed the door and enter. The captain's room is decorated very generously, with windows facing south, which looks quite open. Leather black chairs and mahogany desks occupy a lot of space. The tables are decorated with scenic spots. A huge military map is hung on the wall behind, and a mahogany bookcase on the side displays a beautifully bound book collection. On the right side of the wall, there is a huge ornamental fish tank inlaid with a few tropical fish and a half-meter long, crimson tortoise shell swimming slowly in the water. There are 2 comfortable leather sofas and a marble coffee table on the left side against the wall, and exquisite tea sets are placed on the coffee table. In front of the fish tank, standing a sturdy middle-aged man wearing a Marine Lieutenant Colonel's uniform, slightly shorter than a teenager, was watching the scenery in the tank attentively. The middle-aged man is the highest officer on the patrol ship, Lieutenant Colonel Sweet Bell. Walked to Bell and handed the water tank in his hand. "Sir, a large group of Mikama jellyfish are migrating to the rear. There may be a storm in front." Taking the water tank and looking down, Bell was beaming with joy. "Good luck, Milo's favorite. This kind of deep-sea jellyfish is getting harder and harder to catch." The boy raised his eyebrows, and Bell said without turning his head, "Ordinary storms are not a threat to our warship. Recently I received a pack of cigarettes in a drawer. Get it by yourself." Hearing this, the young man's eyes brightened and his expression was full of joy, and he came to the desk, opened the lower right drawer, and took out a wooden box made of mahogany from it. Opening the wooden box, there are neatly placed 10 coffee-like dark brown, 6-inch torpedo-shaped cigars. Picking up a cigar, gently squeeze it with your thumb and index finger, and then take it to your ear, gently rubbing it. Without hearing any popping sound, the teenager nodded in satisfaction. With a finger like a knife, gently twist it to cut off the cigar head. From his jacket pocket, he took out a special box of long matches made of cedar wood and struck it. Place the cigar 2 centimeters above the fire, turn it gently to heat it, turn it for 2 to 3 turns, and then ignite the cigar evenly from the edge to the center. Smelling the faint fragrance from the tip of his nose, the young man was not eager to smoke, and gently blew back 2 mouthfuls to get rid of the fumes inhaled by the cigar when he lit the cigarette, and then took a deep sip of the cigar. A faint bitterness, mixed with sweet vanilla, shocked the senses of the teenager. The aroma is full and mellow, which makes people feel happy when smelling it. Slowly inhale the fragrant smoke into your mouth, let the aroma of the cigar swirl in your mouth, and then slowly spit it out. Not in a hurry to take a second breath, indulged in the faint cloud of smoke, the boy spoke in an intoxicated tone. "From the kingdom of West Blue Basalto, the Bradley family, purely handmade superb cigars. This cigar only produces 1,000 cases a year, exclusively for the royal family and nobles. You can't think that you have this kind of way, the school-level officer. The welfare is good." After speaking, he took another sip of the cigar at hand, shook his head, and was deeply intoxicated by the mellow fragrance of the cigar. After a long while, the teenager who had been addicted to smoking raised his head and glanced at the lieutenant colonel who was still feeding. Looked again, the tortoiseshell that was swallowing the jellyfish, and 2 small tortoiseshells of the same color with the palm of the hand that came out from nowhere. He said lightly, "I really don't understand. Milo gave birth to so many small turtles before, why did they let them go, and stay for the soup to drink? This kind of deep-sea turtle, mixed with magic leaf juice, marinated for 1 hour. Supplemented with special spices from Yunpan town, with sea king's meat, simmered for 3 hours on low fire, the stewed soup is delicious and tonic." Hearing what the young man said, the lieutenant colonel turned his head, revealing a fierce, beard-faced face, and yelled at the young man, "Go away, Laozi raises turtles, not tortoises. Garner, you kid again. If you dare to fight against Milo and me Ma Xing's ideas, I will pull your skin first." He smiled. Garner waved his hand indifferently, sat down on the sofa next to him, picked up the tea on the coffee table, and poured a cup, and started drinking. Belle fed the pet, sat down at the desk, pointed to a few reward orders on the coffee table, and said to Garner, "Let's take a look at the goal of going to sea this time." Garner picked it up and looked at it. The top reward was a fierce man with a scar on his face, North Blue's most notorious big pirate, Blood Knife Eddie Verun, the Vallon pirate. Captain of the regiment, Zoan demon fruit power, bull fruit. Antelope shape. Strong combat power, brutal methods, killing civilians many times, causing bloody crimes in many small towns, so he was offered a reward of 30 million baileys. Then there is the deputy captain of the Vallon pirates, offering a reward of 15 million, Waltz George Senior. Scrolling down, not seeing any noteworthy characters, Garner dropped the reward order in his hand and smoked his cigar again. Looking at Garner, who was vomiting, shook his head, grabbed the remaining cigar on the table, threw it over, and said angrily, "Your kid is only 14 years old, where is such a big addiction? This time, the smoke, it's not what I used to be. It was brought to me by my classmates when I was training in the department. Generally, the lieutenant colonel can't get it. You can save me a bit. If I don't like smoking, how can it be cheaper for you?" Garner quickly took the cigar carefully, put it down gently, and smiled, "I see." Then, I saw the tall, strong, and beard-faced middle-aged uncle, took out a bag of senbei from the drawer on the left, tore the package, and ate it with relish. Although it wasn't the first time to see the scene, young Garner still felt a slight twitch in the corner of his eyes. When Lieutenant Colonel Bell was young, he went to the Naval Headquarters recruit training camp. The Marine hero he admired most was the Marine hero, Garp Vice Admiral. You can imitate Garp in your words and deeds. The most outrageous thing is that even the hobby of eating senbei has been learned 10%. Do you want something?" the Lieutenant Colonel asked politely. "Forget it," Garner replied irritably. Seeing Lieutenant Colonel Bell eating happily there, Garner couldn't help but complain, "Knowing that you adore Garp Vice Admiral, idolatry, I can understand it, but there is no need to imitate my personal hobby, right? You know what a fart, does Laozi eat senbei? Laozi is studying Garp Vice Admiral and doesn't take anything to heart." He grabbed a chart next to him and threw it to Garner. Bell scolded with a smile. "It's you, you're only 14 years old. You don't leave your hands all day long. Cigar is Marine's romance. Marine's career without smoking is not perfect." At this time, the soldiers who were observing from the observation deck shouted, "A ship was found on the sea ahead. Are you coming?" Bell lifted up, stood up, put on his military cap, and greeted Garner, "Go out and have a look." Just came to the observation room overhead. He raised his head and searched in the direction that the observer said. Sure enough, a black spot appeared on the empty sea level. Bell turned around, grabbed the binoculars from the soldier next to him, and raised his eyes to look into the distance. What you see is a skull flag flying in the wind. A skull wearing a blood-red pirate headscarf, and the blood-red steel knives intertwined on the two sides below are the pirate flag logo of the Vallon pirates. Leaping directly down the observation room, Bell said loudly, "Find the enemy ship and prepare for battle. All members are prepared for combat." Garner's voice sounded behind the lieutenant colonel. "Everyone returns to their positions, don't mess up." The gunner pulls all the artillery from the right string to the left string, full of ammunition. The sailor is ready to sail and move on. The helmsman is ready. After entering the firing range, he turns the rudder right, turns the hull, aiming the muzzle at the enemy ship. Garner made the pre-war arrangements in an orderly manner. Bell glanced at Garner with satisfaction, did not say much, and let him continue to command. He just tightened the marine uniform, took a bit of smoke, and bounced the remaining cigar into the sea, staring fiercely at the pirate ship ahead, the big pirate who frightened the entire North Blue and offered a reward of 30 million baileys. Blood Knife Eddie Warren's Scarlet Warren. Garner was also staring at the ship ahead, giving orders one after another, ordering to go down. "Navigator, report the position of the enemy ship. The target is 30 degrees to our starboard side, about 15 nautical miles away." "Navigator, report wind and sea conditions." "The wind speed is 20 knots, it is rising rapidly, the wave level is 4, and the wind is south-southeast." Very well, the observers pay attention to the enemy ship personnel and firepower allocation, and report at any time. Garner then ordered. Raise the front sail, deflect it to the upper wind, and move forward at a speed of 20 knots, pay attention to the string, the gunner is in place, and non-combatants enter the cabin to escape. As the orders were accurately issued, the soldiers on the ship quickly returned to their positions, preparing for battle in an orderly manner. Chapter 2. Eddie Varun is indeed the pirate of the terrible and powerful North Blue. When he saw the marine warship, he didn't have the slightest evasive consciousness and drove straight in the direction of the warship. Garner came to the bow of the ship, standing behind Bell, and staring at the pirate ship getting closer and closer. The sea breeze blew Buddha's short hair on his forehead, between the broken hair that was raised, there was no trace of tension and hesitation in his eyes, and some were only calm and steady. Bell glanced at him approvingly, and said, "When the war will start, Eddie Vallon will give it to me, and George Senior will give it to you." "No problem, I'll take care of it," the boy replied simply and neatly. Bell nodded and smiled, "This time you catch Vallon, the credit is enough for you to get promoted to at least the school." Tisk tisk, 14-year-old Major, Lao Zi was still a big soldier when he was 14 years old. "Captain, the wind speed is 30 knots, and it is still rising rapidly," the sailor reported loudly. "Captain, the enemy has entered range. Fire and meet the enemy," Bell ordered loudly. A series of fireworks emerged from the muzzle of the warship, and dozens of shells roared towards the Scarlet Varun. The piercing explosion sounded from afar, the wooden shipboard raised the sawdust and flames, and it was faintly visible that the stumps and broken arms were flying in the air, and the screams screamed. Just in the gap between the ammunition in the artillery hand, the Scarlet Vallon also took the opportunity to rush a certain distance. Afterwards, the piercing sound of cannons came from the guns of the enemy ship, and black artillery shells were fired towards the warship. At this time, Bell and Garner shot, the blade flashed, and most of the artillery in the air was smashed into the air by the two high-leaping two. The remaining few shells fell on some corners and corners. What major damage the warship caused? Boom, boom, boom. The sound of the artillery continued for a moment, and as the two sides approached, the hit rate and the casualty rate continued to increase, making this war of blood and fire even more tragic. Marine's destroyer is only a Tier 4 warship, with 2 upper and lower gun decks, 60 artillery pieces, and a capacity of about 350 people. Although in Marine, it belongs to low and medium-level warships, but compared to pirate ships, it still forms a powerful fire suppression. For a time, the Vallon pirates suffered far more casualties than Marine. Artillery fire raged in my ears, screaming one after another. Garner was unmoved, and calmly swung his sword at the oncoming shells while commanding the soldiers to send the wounded into the cabin for treatment. At this time, the navigator who was supposed to be in the cabin rushed out nervously. "The wind speed is almost 40 knots, and the hurricane is coming." The storm, with his cry, poured down. The ships of the two sides finally approached, and Shishi and Dangsuo were thrown from the warship and locked on the edge of the Scarlet Vallon. The most tragic battle began. Without time to pay attention to the navigator, Garner followed Lieutenant Colonel Bell and jumped to the enemy ship. When I saw them head-on, a group of pirates were wounded, but their eyes were fierce. Standing at the forefront is a brawny man with a red captain's hat and 2 steel knives in his hands. He is 3 meters tall. There is a long scar on his face, from his left eye to the corner of his mouth, making him already fierce. The face, even more disgusting, is Eddie Warren. "Little ones, come on, kill these Marines." Eddie Warren waved his hand coldly and shouted forward. Marine and the pirate didn't have much to say. Bell greeted Eddie Varun, and Garner waved his knife, splitting a pirate who was on the way, and then found a thin person next to him. The tall one, the deputy captain of the Vallon pirates, George Senior, who offered a reward of 15 million. The Marine elites who rushed to the back rushed to the other trash pirates, and suddenly shouted and killed. George Senior saw Marine, who was facing him, tall and wearing the uniform of Captain Marine. Although his face was young, he still didn't despise him. The pirates on the sea who were begging for life could live to his age, who is not a human being and would never easily despise any enemy. Sinel's eyes flashed fiercely, holding a western sword in his hand, and swinging the sword towards Garna. He cursed and said, "Where is the boy? He has not grown his hair, so I dare to be a Marine. Today, the uncle will teach you what a pirate is." The sword light, caught in the storm, is even more confusing. Facing the swift sword pose, Garna turned sideways slightly, took a short step back, and dodged. Sinal pressed harder step by step, and the western sword waved with a piercing screaming sound, not leaving Garna's chest and lower abdomen. The sky gradually darkened, the night fell, and the storm was intensively falling, and the people who hit by the big raindrops could hardly open their eyes. Garna didn't seem to be affected at all, evading the oncoming sword with exceptional accuracy every time. Sinal gritted his teeth, his breathing became faster and faster, his moves became faster and more subtle. The wind and rain are getting heavier and the ship is swaying in the wind and rain. While the people on the ship have to fight, they have to maintain their body balance. The battle is getting harder and harder. Garner finally made a shot. It was almost the ultimate knife light. Sinal had no time to react. He only felt that his arm was cold. The half of his arm holding the sword was flying in the air. It was too late to scream, and the knife came after him. A splash of blood burst out of his throat. What a quick knife! This sentence appeared in Sinal's mind, and before he plunged into the eternal darkness, he vaguely heard a soft groan. One sword style. Sheniying. Jahi killing the pirates offering 15 million rewards did not bring any waves to Garna's heart. Garna raised his hand and wiped the rain off his face, and looked in the direction of Lieutenant Colonel Bell. The storm is getting bigger and bigger. If he can't take the Vallon pirates as soon as possible, then retreat to a nearby island and wait until he is caught in the storm. The ship is in danger. The deputy captain was killed, and the other pirates were horrified. Some turned around and fled, and a few were not afraid of death. They showed fierce eyes and surrounded them, trying to rely on the power of many people to kill Garna and become the deputy captain. Revenge. But Garna didn't have time to talk to them. One sword style, God Shadow, 1,000 birds. The light of the sword skyrocketed, and it seemed as if thousands of knives were turned out in an instant, and the fish pirates surrounded by them were emptied in an instant. Garner ran to the battlefield of Bell and Eddie Veron without looking back, ready to support Bell and make a quick battle. The battle scene between the two was much more intense. All the way from the bow to the cabin, the sword was shining, and the battle was anxious. There was a saber in Bell's hand, and the two bloody steel knives that were suppressed by Eddie Veron could not fight back. There were blood stains on his body, which looked miserable. Eddie Veron roared, threw away the double knives, turned on the transformation mode, and transformed into a half-beast antelope shape with a height of more than 4 meters. Bell dashed forward, swung his knife and slammed. After Eddie Warren transformed himself, his strength did not increase much, but his speed skyrocketed. The moves that were difficult to dodge before are now easily dodged. With light force on his legs, he bounces to high altitude, and the blood marks on his body gradually closed, and no more bleeding. Seeing Garner join the battlefield, Eddie Veron dodges and pounces forward, with dense fists storming towards him. The speed is more than twice as fast as before. Seeing this, Garner was not in a hurry, raised his saber in his hand, and waved his wrist in a clockwise circle, seemingly slow, but his saber waved out after images, blocking them like a barrier. One sword style, clock roll, imperial. There was a series of explosions, and Eddie Vallon's fists were all blocked by Garna's blade. A high-altitude bounce, dodging a knife cut by Bell behind him. Eddie Warren also did not fight Bell, directly using his super high speed and jumping ability, circled the two of them, waiting for an opportunity to launch an attack. Bell is not as fast as him, and he always dodges his attacks again and again, and the occasional counterattack almost injured Bell. Seeing that the wind and rain are getting worse, Garner has no time to play dodgeball games with this big antelope. She retracted the knife into its sheath, took a deep breath, lowered her eyes slightly, and stopped looking at Eddie Veron. But in Garna's natural perception, his every move is very subtle. One sword style. Kamui. Yigaki. In an instant, 8 invisible sword auras were cut out from Garna's hands, dragging different traces in the rain, and slashing heavily towards Eddie Veron. Jianhao. Eddie Veron's pupils shrank sharply, looking at the Jian-chi that came in front of him almost instantly, trying to hide, but found that all the directions of the front, back, left, and right were sealed by the sword, and there was no time to dodge. Can only bite the bullet and resist injury. In North Blue for many years, Eddie Veron has not fought with Jianhao. Even though he can be injured by ordinary sword aura, facing Zoan Devil Fruit's defensive power, he will not be seriously injured directly. Relying on Zoan's defensive power and resilience, Eddie Veron prepared to resist a wave of damage and rushed forward to give the Marine Boy of Dammit a fatal blow. Unexpectedly, the sword aura from the slash was so powerful that it far exceeded the upper limit of ordinary swordsman's attack and exceeded his cognition. With a brushing sound, the sword aura passed through Eddie Veron's body, and in his doubts, he flew a large part of his body backward, and fell heavily in the cabin, smashing layers of decks. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, this knife is still a burden to his current physical fitness. Seeing the saber with cracks in his hand, Garna sighed. As expected, ordinary sabers couldn't withstand the power of Yigaki, so he had to find a good knife if he had the opportunity. It's over! Garner shouted to Bell, who was a little dazed by him. The captain and the deputy captain were defeated one by one, and the remaining pirates were in chaos. Marine took the opportunity to hack and kill them. They were defeated and surrendered one after another. Zoan demon fruit power, strong vitality, plus Garner deliberately left a bit of strength. Eddie Veron was only seriously injured and unconscious. His life was saved, but waiting for him, will be spent the second half of his life in impel down fate. Seeing that the situation has basically stabilized, Bell carried Eddie Veron, who was unconscious, and sent him to the warship to be imprisoned first, and ordered Garner to sweep the tail and dissolve the resistance of the remaining pirates. He raised his head and looked at the dark clouds and storm ahead. No matter how dark the night is, dawn will always come. Chapter 3. On the way back, because of the successful annihilation of the Vallon pirates, the Marines on the patrol ship looked excited, and revealed a thriving spirit of excitement when they were busy. However, because Lieutenant Colonel Bell was seriously injured, everyone was suppressed and did not cheer. Although Bell was seriously injured, fortunately he did not hurt him. With the superhuman physique of most people in this world, as long as it was not a fatal injury, he could slowly recover. After visiting Bell, Garner walked slowly to the bottom of the warship and imprisoned Eddie Veron's cabin. In order to prevent him from escaping after waking up, Marine handcuffed him with handcuffs made by sea stone. This large pirate, who has been in North Blue in recent years and has been in the limelight, has never lost his former glory. Lying on the bottom of the cabin with bloodline all over, fell into a deep coma. Although Garna's previous stab did not kill him, it was not something ordinary people could resist. If it hadn't been for Zoan Devil Fruit to give him a fighting power that surpassed that of ordinary people, the stab just now was enough to kill him. Listening to the sound of the waves crashing on the hull outside the cabin, and the damp air mixed with a faint smell of blood, Garner quietly looked at Eddie Veron in a coma, silently in his heart, showing Eddie Veron's data. In the void in front of me, a panel of data magically appeared. Name, Eddie Warren. Race, Terran Devil Fruit, Zoan. Bull Cattle Fruit. Antelope Form. Talent abilities, Antelope Speed, with the agile speed of an antelope, the body speed is improved when fighting. Can copy the talent ability, the speed of the antelope. Do you copy it? A familiar mechanical voice came in his mind. Garner closed his eyes, and his consciousness sank into the consciousness space. In the consciousness space of his mind, a small verdant tree appeared suddenly. Between the branches and leaves, there were several trees of the same size, light blue, with spiral fruit. Except for one fruit, which is slightly illusory, the other fruits are generally the same as normal fruits. Copy, Garner replied decisively. Copying. 20%. 70%. Copying completed. I saw one of the fruits on the tree in my mind, turning into a stream of light, flying out of the consciousness space, and entering Eddie Veron's body. Following the mechanical reading of the system, it appeared from Vallon again and merged into Garner's body. After taking a long breath, Garner sensed the bursts of heat coming from his body instantly became lighter than before, and his response to the surrounding air seemed to become more delicate, and he felt the resistance in the air became more delicate. Smaller. Although it is not the first time, I am still shocked by such a miraculous phenomenon. Coming to the deck, looking up at the starry sky, the dark full moon half hidden by clouds is looming. It's been 14 years since I came to this world. Garner thought. In the previous life, he was originally an ordinary person of Blue Star, but after his accidental death, his soul traveled to the world of One Piece in the previous comics and was reborn as the third prince of the North Blue Nops dynasty. I thought this was an ordinary alien world. I was reborn as a prince with a good fate, and I could end my life with peace of mind. I accidentally heard World Government Pirate Marine Celestial from the Palace Guard. After dragons, he realized that he had come to the familiar world of One Piece. With memories of past lives, I know how bloody and chaotic the world of One Piece will be in the future. With Roger's execution and the rampage of the times, the world government gradually loses control of the world, and the era of war among the heroes is about to come. With fear of the future, for himself and for the relatives around him, Garner began to aspire to become a strong man. Unfortunately, this body in this world, except for the kendo talent is not bad, the rest of the talents are mediocre. After a few years of learning, he is just one-handed. Swordsmanship is impressive. Until the age of 12, the late cheat arrived late. On the 12th birthday, an inexplicable system appeared in the body to check whether people within 5 meters of oneself have talented abilities, copy the talented abilities of others, and integrate them into one's body. At the same time, there is also the magical fruit tree in the consciousness space in the mind. This kind of copying is not arbitrary, except for a copy opportunity presented as a gift for the first time. If you want to copy later, only by absorbing the life energy of the organism, after the fruit tree absorbs it, and after reaching a certain amount, can a fruit that looks exactly like devil fruit is generated, but in fact, it only has the power of copying. Even so, Garna was still ecstatic. Originally, Garna was ready to use the power of the royal family to collect devil fruit to increase his strength. But without the devil fruit illustrated book, eating devil fruit is actually pure gambling. I don't know what the ability to eat the fruit is, or whether it's a tasteless ability. The sudden arrival of the system gave him new choices. With this ability, he can obtain the qualifications to compete with those monsters in the next magnificent era, and can see the highest scenery in the tide of the era. This era has not yet entered the era of the great pirate started by Roger 10 years later. Relatively speaking, marine is still the most powerful force in the world. The strongest in marine, garp, sengoku, and the next 3 admiral, want to copy their talents, enter marine, climb all the way, and then copy the talents of these strong. It is the best choice. What's more, if you want to get the fruit of replication, you also need life energy. Simply put, it is to let the system gain life force through killing. The education of the previous life prevented Garna from killing for no reason. In this case, joining marine and gaining life energy through encirclement and suppression of pirates became Garna's first choice. Therefore, 12-year-old Garna resolutely sneaked out of the palace and took a boat to the North Blue 107 branch stationed on Igor Island. He lied about his age and was nearly 3 meters tall. There was no danger. Blinded the recruiters of marine, passed the recruiting trial of Division 107, and successfully became a glorious marine. Had it not been for drunk and accidentally missed his mouth, the entire base would still think he was an adult. Although he is young, he has been in marine for the past 2 years, training hard, fighting the enemy first, and excellent swordsmanship, allowing him to stand out from the crowd in this remote branch, gaining a lot of life energy, and quickly accumulating military service and promotion. Captain of the Ministry. According to his observations over the past 2 years, if the life energy of a normal seaman or ordinary pirate in this world is 1, it would take about 100 energy to condense into a duplicated fruit. It means killing 100 ordinary pirates before Garna can get a chance to replicate. Chapter 4. Therefore, in the past 2 years, all the pirates who hit Garna's hands have almost never survived and are so murderous that Bell, the old marine who has been in the army for many years, is a little frightened. Thinking of this, Garna thought silently in his heart, opening his talent panel. Name, Elmero Garna Race, Terran Devil Fruit, Nun Talent Abilities, Moon Palace Projection, Supreme Kendo Aptitude and Comprehension, practice any sword-related moves, can draw inferences from one another, Fast Grandmaster, when fighting with swords, the damage caused by them doubles. Power of the Night, when fighting in the night, the strength, defense, and physical stamina are all doubled. Don't hit me, when the body is injured by fists and feet, there is a chance that all the damage will be rebound, and the body will not be hurt. Antelope Speed, with the agile speed of an antelope, the body speed is improved when fighting. This is Garna's current talent value. Through 2 years of battles and opportunities, he has obtained the ability after copying his talent. The fruit of replication on the small tree is far more than these. The pirates killed by Garna in the past 2 years are 800 without 1,000. It is a pity that the 107 branch is just a small marine branch, and the strongest is also only the branch colonel. There are no powerful pirates in the jurisdiction. According to Garna's observations, devil fruiters will definitely have them. How much depends on the strength and development of the fruit. Ordinary people completely look at their own talents. They can't be met, so that in the past 2 years, Garna has just accumulated silently life energy, except for the kendo talent copied from his sister at the beginning, the rest has been harvested. There is no chance to copy, but there is no ability to copy. Even so, the several abilities that have been copied have greatly improved Garna's strength compared to 2 years ago. I thought that this time Eddie Vallon might have a surprise, but in addition to bringing him the skills to improve his physical fitness, the rest can be said to be nothing. With his top-level kendo talent, Garner has become more comfortable in his sword practice in the past 2 years. He has made rapid progress in swordsmanship. With kendo strength alone, he has already surpassed the highest branch officer, Colonel Connors. It's time to leave North Blue. The help that the branch can provide for me to improve my strength has been minimal. Garner meditated. Every 4 years in the headquarters, a group of elite officers are selected from all over the world and go to the headquarters for further studies. There will be a chance to fight for the rank of lieutenant. The military merits of arresting the Vallon pirates this time are enough to promote me to the rank of school officer. The opportunity is still great. Only when you go to naval headquarters can you be on a bigger stage and get a bigger promotion. This opportunity should not be missed. On the deck, a slightly moist sea breeze blew on his face, cool, with a touch of comfort. A sky blue jacket, brown trousers, white sneakers, and plain clothes. Garner, with a cigar in his mouth, swallowed the clouds and fog in the sea breeze, very pleasant. At this time, more than half a month has passed since the arrest of the Vallon pirates, and I returned to Division 107. After handing over the arrest task, he and Colonel Connor applied for further studies in the headquarters. While waiting for the approval of the headquarters, Garner, who had nothing to do, got a 1-month holiday. I have spent the past 2 years at Base 107 and have never returned home. Although I wrote back later, I didn't say a word and ran away from home secretly to join the army. I can think of the furious reaction of the old man after receiving the letter. Without sending anyone to arrest him and go back, Garner guessed that 80% of the older sister had persuaded his irritable father. This is also the reason why he has been hiding from home for the past 2 years. But if the application is successful this time, after going to the headquarters, I will not be able to return to North Blue within a few years, so I have to go home anyway. So I filed with the base, boarded a merchant ship along the way, and returned to the Kingdom of Nophurs after 2 years of absence. The Kingdom of Nophurs, as the center of North Blue and a superpower on St. John's Island, has a population of over 100 million and has a long history and culture. It has been dominated by the El Mero family for hundreds of years. If it weren't for One Piece's world, it made him want to see the magnificent sea. As a king's son, doing nothing all day long, eating and waiting for death, would be a dude's destiny. Disembark at the port of the capital, Abydos, take a characteristic alpaca cart, and pass through the bustling crowds. A wide street in the east-west direction is lined with shops. People pick and choose in front of a dazzling array of goods. Bargaining, noises one after another, crowds and prosperity. After walking through half a city, I came to the palace that hadn't returned for 2 years. Entering the palace, walking through the palace, looking at the familiar sights, before Garner sighed, he heard the rush of footsteps behind him. Looking back, a tall, sturdy old man who was a head taller than Garner was striding forward, hurriedly throwing away the guards behind him. The old man wore a crown on his head and dressed in a royal attire. He was the contemporary king of the Nops dynasty and the father of Garner, Elmero Hodis Ho. Seeing his father hurrying to see his figure, Garner was also touched in his heart. Papa! Inverse son! Hodi Shah walked up to the front, took a run up, jumped more than 3 meters high, kicked up, kicked his face, and moved in one go, unlike a king who sits on the throne all year round. I didn't expect my father, who hadn't seen each other for 2 years, to give himself such a big meeting. Garner could only subconsciously raise his hand to block his face, and then he was kicked out. His Majesty! The guards at the back almost dropped their jaws in shock. They didn't expect the father and son to meet in this scene. They hurriedly stepped forward to stop the old emperor, for fear that his furious majesty would beat the 3 princes to death. Let go, don't stop, this king is going to kill this rebellious son. Huadak Xiao said furiously. It took several guards to stop the old king from advancing, and the other guards hurried to help the dizzy Garner. Okay, your majesty, it's rare for Saner to come back. Is it possible that you really want to kill him? Just as the scene was jumping and chaotic, a gentle voice came. Garner, who was not injured at all but pretending to be embarrassed, was awkwardly avoiding his father's chasing, hearing the sound, like listening to the holy voice, looking up. 2 women came to face each other. The middle-aged woman in front, wearing a dark purple embroidered gold dress, wearing a minkskin on her forehead with jade, she has a rich body, jeweled and precious, with a dignified and kind temperament. It is Garner's mother in this life, the Princess of Nophurs, Saviaganti. The young woman behind, dressed noble, seemed to exude a cold temperament all the time, like a lazy and noble cat quietly overlooking everything. The waterfall-like long golden hair presents a beautiful luster, the facial features are delicate and soft, and a pair of green eyes are clear and bright, just like a gentle halo jade. It seems to be careless about the surroundings, yet able to perceive everything. She is wearing a light gold dress embroidered with rose patterns and a jade bracelet on her wrist that matches the color of her pupils. It was Her Royal Highness Princess Elmiro Michaela. Chapter 5. In case of a savior, Garner hurried to meet his mother, came to the front, and saluted respectfully, "Mother, eldest sister." Under the interference of the princess, His Majesty the King finally stopped teaching the unfilial son. Then, under the arrangement of the princess, he pulled the awkward father and son for dinner. The dinner is rich in delicacies and a wide range of dishes. Fresh trout and fresh wines from the cellar, thick black sausage and green vegetable rolls, roasted venison, red-burned lobster and steaming meat pie, buttered toast and nut pudding, and fresh pomegranate, sakura peaches and melons are all over the table. After all the maids who were serving the food left the palace, only 4 of the Garna family remained in the hall. Garna relaxed, and to be honest, he, who has been educated by Blue Star, has not been accustomed to the life of being served by people for so many years. This should be one of the reasons why he resolutely moved home at the beginning. Subconsciously took out a cigar, raised his head, and found that the 3 people on the opposite side were looking at him with a scrutiny gaze. He smiled wryly, got up quickly, and graciously handed the cigarette to the old man, and he took out a match to light it for him, and asked, "Father, why didn't you see the second brother? Didn't he say he would be back in 1 year?" Hudis Ha, who was enjoying his son's filial piety, his face sank after hearing the words. "Don't mention your second brother to me. This guy is just like you." At first, he said he was looking at the customs in Daxia. After reading it, he went out to sea again. In the past 2 years, except for sending a letter home occasionally, no people can be seen. You two are more uneasy than the other. If your eldest sister is as sensible, I wouldn't be so angry. Garna's second brother, the second prince of the kingdom, Elmiro Leslit, was an unconscious lord since he was a child. Garna didn't know how to ask casually, and hit the muzzle again, provoke the old man's anger, and was trained by Baba for a long time, but only Wei Nyanyo stood by and was carefully trained. She slapped her eyes to ask the eldest sister for help, but only got a helpless look. In the end, my mother couldn't stand it anymore. After speaking, she stopped her endless talk. Garner hurriedly returned to his seat and sat down, watching his nose watching his heart, and burying his head to eat, never daring to say a word again. After a long while, after dinner, the whole family sat and chatted together. "Enough playing outside, come back this time, don't leave. It happens to be able to assist your elder sister. My position will definitely be inherited by your sister in the future. You and your second brother are too, one by one. The glory of my Elmiro family still has to be borne by your sister," the old man said in a tone of hatred for iron and steel. "Well, Daddy, I am coming back this time. I just come back to tell you separately. I still have to go back in half a month." Garner touched the bridge of his nose and whispered "Kide." Seeing that Hodi Shah has a tendency to get angry again, Garner hastened to tell them about his 2 years of experience, not to be dangerous. "I want to emphasize that there is no danger in Marine, and I am doing well at the moment, and I have to go to the headquarters for further studies and so on." After a lapse of 2 years, it is rare for his son to go home once. Hodi Shah didn't want to make the atmosphere too rigid. He didn't ask questions. The family talked about Garna's experience in the past 2 years. The next day, at dawn, Garna woke up from his sleep. After 2 years of military career, he has developed his strict work and rest habits, and training every morning has become an instinct of the body. Even if you sleep in a comfortable palace, you can't change the time clock that is in your bones. Simply get up, step on the slight morning light, and head to the training ground for daily training. The palace was quiet in the early morning, and Garna came to the special training ground of the palace. Pushing the door to enter, Garna looked up, and for a moment, there was already someone in the training ground, but it was Michaela. Today's Michaela, dressed in a lean bunting attire, with her hair tied up behind her head, holding a long sword in her hand, is practicing basic swordsmanship sternly. With a slight smile, Garner met her sister's gaze and walked in. "Sister, I thought I was early enough, why are you so early?" Wiping the sweat on his head, Michaela answered casually, "Get used to it, Why, can't you sleep when you get home? Neither. Garner raised his eyebrows, took out a cigar, and smoked himself. I have been in Marine for 2 years and I have developed a habit. Frowning, looking at the misty younger brother, he subconsciously opened his mouth to scold him, and then thought that his younger brother was no longer a kid, and he followed him around and followed him, so he glanced sideways and didn't say a word. Knowing his father, Garner has always opposed them to practice martial arts, thinking that as a royal family, the biggest responsibility is to let the people of the kingdom live and work in peace and contentment. As for martial arts, you just need to keep fit. If you are addicted to it, you are not doing your job properly. As a result, the two sons are more rebellious than the other. Fortunately, the eldest daughter is more upbeat. In recent years, Hodi Shah has gradually let go of it to Michaela. Under Michaela's governance, the national power has become stronger and stronger, and there is no internal worries. Foreign troubles, the people's support for the royal family is becoming more and more pious. But Garner knew that besides governing state affairs, his elder sister still possessed a good swordsmanship. Garner's kendo enlightenment teacher was Michaela. Even his current talent for swordsmanship was copied from Michaela. Garner, who had only ordinary talents himself, copied his sister's kendo talent, and swordsmanship broke through a bottleneck and made rapid progress. After smoking the cigar, looking at the sister who walked to the side and continued to practice the sword, Garner kept wondering that he knew the general trend of the future world, and knew how chaotic the coming era of the great pirates was. That's why he will desperately improve himself. In this world, only the absolute power of the master has the ability to reject any unjust rules imposed on him. This is also the reason why Garner has to go to naval headquarters when he puts everything together. Only when he goes to naval headquarters, can Garner gain extraordinary talents, have the opportunity to aspire to the highest peak of this world, and protect this country in the coming era. But his sister, the royal princess of the kingdom, the future queen of Napurs, the eldest daughter who has shouldered the glory of the Elmero family since she was a child, seems to have realized something. With unimaginable perseverance, she has developed a superb body. Fencing. Sister, I haven't seen you for 2 years. Do you want to practice hand skills? See if my swordsmanship can catch up with you. Glancing at Garner in surprise, his eyes were clear, he thought for a second, and then nodded and said, "All right, let's see what you learned in the 2 years at Marine." Chapter 6. The two came to the center of the training ground and stood opposite each other. Garner drew out the newly changed standard saber, and a natural aura came out and pressed towards Michaeli. Garner with observation haki fully opened, Michaela in the induction, like a green pine, rooted in the crevice of the rock beside the cliff, facing the momentum of the opposite side, not moving like a bell. No matter how violent you are, I will not move. It was useless to find the flaws in Michaela, Garner didn't care, and a sword ready to go, swung at her along the way. God Shadow Jahi, Garner made a big move when he shot, a golden sword aura slashed towards Michaela with the sword's power. It seems that the opposite is not a sister, but an enemy of life and death. Seeing the sword aura coming from the face, Michaela's pupils shrank slightly, but her face was calm. She waved the sword in her hand, and a sword aura of the same size, but dark gold, was facing Garner's sword aura. Hit! The two sword auras collided in the air, cancelling each other's damage, but the resulting shock wave broke out. In the huge training room, a strong hurricane was generated, and the surrounding weapon racks were blown down in all directions as if they were being attacked by an explosion. Jianhao. Garner looked still, and had already predicted his sister's strength in his heart. Otherwise, he would not make a violent attack, just be sure that these attacks would not cause damage to Michaela. Senbonzakura Michaela's counterattack followed, and soon the invisible sword shadow made a harsh whistling in the air, and sakura flowers bloomed in the air, floating towards Garner. Seeing, hearing and feeling, those beautiful but hidden murderous sakura flowers, each contains the power to kill Eddie Varun in one shot. Not daring to be careless, Garner stepped back a little and swung a sword in the same vein. Senbonzakura there were also golden sakura flowers in the sky, smashing to face Michaela. At the moment when the sakura flower cluster collided in the air, Garner's figure moved instantaneously, appeared in the air, and struck a sword with Michaela who also appeared behind the sakura flower cluster at some unknown time. The silent slashing attack caused more damage than before, and the two figures bounced back heavily, and the aftermath of the scattered sword energy chopped out cracks on the surrounding walls. Kaka the sound of metal shattering came from Garner, and he looked down, and the newly replaced saber was once again gloriously killed. With a wry smile, Garner threw down the handle of the knife and waved his hand. Stop fighting, sister, I thought I had made a lot of progress in the past 2 years and should be able to beat you. You are still so good. Glancing at the broken sword underground, Michaela shook his head. It's because your sword doesn't work. It hasn't been seen for 2 years. Your kendo has improved a lot. In 2 years, I won't necessarily be your opponent. Lit a cigar again, took a deep breath. Garner curled his lips indifferently. Whatever, my brother and sister care about so much. After thinking for a while, he said, but old sister, you have to deal with so many government affairs every day, and your strength can improve so fast. In terms of talent, I am not as good as you. Instead of arguing about this issue, Michaela asked, Naval Headquarters, do I have to go? The Grand Line is no better than North Blue. Garner was stunned, and said to her seriously, yes, sister, I have a reason to go. Only there can I become stronger step by step, strong enough to protect this with my own strength. Nation. I don't have the abilities of your sister. I can't help in governance, but I also hope to do something for the people in this country in other ways. Michaela glanced at Garner quietly, and didn't seem to expect to hear such an answer. After a while, he groaned and said, since you have decided, I believe your choice, and I will tell him from my father. As long as you don't be the same as before, you can just play and disappear for no reason. Garner was overjoyed. Thank you, sister, I still love me the most, hee. Michaela gave Garner a blank look. Be less silly, you can always be less angry with your father, mother, you can explain it yourself. The last time you ran away from home, you worried her bad. If it wasn't for you and your brother I don't have to work so hard all day long. It's always been good. After Michaela finished speaking, he turned and walked outside. He came to the door, raised his hand, and the sword in his hand flew towards Garner. Garner was puzzled and reached out to take it, but he heard Michaela's voice coming from the door. From outside. If you broke your knife, please compensate you with this knife. Thank you, sister. Garner replied happily, knowing that it was Michaela who was worried that he had suffered a bad weapon in the Grand Line, so he gave his beloved knife to his younger brother. Garner was not polite either. He happened to be looking for a good knife. Ordinary sabers are now more and more unable to withstand his battles. What kind of polite brothers and sisters? I will find a better one for my sister in the future. Knife. While thinking, looked down at the tato in his hand. The knife is a little over 2 meters long, which may be slightly longer compared to her sister who is a head shorter, but it is just right for her own use. The scabbard is dark gold as a whole, with a crescent pattern carved on it, and the body of the sword is pulled out, showing the sky like light blue. The sword is more curved than the ordinary samurai sword, but it also reveals a thrilling charm. The blade is made of golden crescent-like blades, plus a dark gold handle. The knife reveals aristocratic elegance everywhere. On the knife body near the handle, 5 inscriptions were carved, 3 suns and moonsects are near. In the world of One Piece, there are countless good knives, but the only ones that are most sought after by swordsmen are Supreme Great Knife 12 skills, Big Kuai Knife 12 skills, Liang Kuai Knife 50 skills, a total of 83 famous knives. And at this moment, the famous sword 3 Suns and Moon Zongjin, which Michaela gave to Garner, was a famous sword in the 21st work of the big knife. I raised my eyebrows. I didn't expect my sister to give me a big sharp knife. When I left 2 years ago, I didn't even think of using the weapon in my father's treasure house. It seems that the palace treasure house is still in stock. When you leave, see if there are any good cigarettes. Daddy is getting older, so it's better to smoke less, which is not healthy. The filial son, Garner, made the decision very happily. He casually hung the 3 days and Moon Zongjin on his waist, and then walked out of the practice room, ready to go out to see the country's changes in the past 2 years. I remember back then, there was a cigar shop next to the imperial street of the palace, where there were well-known cigar sellers from various countries. I haven't come back for 2 years. I don't know if this shop is still there. Chapter 7. In the evening, Garner, who was full of harvest and returned to the palace with satisfaction, was brought to Hodi Shah by the guards as soon as he entered the palace. After the guards retreated, Hodi Shah stepped off the throne and stood in front of Garner, staring condescendingly at the box in his hand. Before he could ask any questions, Garner handed the box obediently. There was nothing he could do. He was used to it since he was a child. Unlike his gentle sister, Hodi Shah is a good king, but for his 2 sons, he has always pursued a stick education. Disagreement is a fight, and Garner is used to it. Opened the box, took a look, nodded in satisfaction, yes, the handmade premium cigar Lanceros produced by Avellino, with the blue butterfly elegant brandy I collected some time ago, is just right. I completely ignored the broken eyes and wailing of the son next to him, and directly picked up the box and stuffed it into the cabinet. He beckoned and summoned Garna to the front. After spending 2 years outside, my vision has improved. Michaela told me your thoughts in the morning. You are approaching adulthood now. It is normal to have your own thoughts. Since you have decided to go out and venture, I can't stop you either. After all, looking at his third son who was close to him, he sighed, waved his hand and said, since you gave me a gift today, I can't take you in vain. Come with me. Garna, who was bleeding in his heart, immediately followed Hortisha's pace when he heard it, and walked all the way to the back of the throne. I saw Hortisha behind the throne, and with one operation, the wall behind the throne slid silently, and a door appeared. Hortisha got in well familiarly. Garnadaki, the palace where he has lived for more than 10 years, still has a secret room that he doesn't know about. Could it be his father's secret treasure? Followed Hortisha all the way in, the perception has been spiraling downwards. After walking in the dark for a few minutes, I don't know what mechanism Hortisha has operated, and his eyes lit up, and he has come to a majestic underground palace. The ground paved with fine white jade gleams with a warm light, and there seems to be a mist covering the unreal palace in the distance, the phoenixes flying on the eaves carved from sandalwood, and the floating windows carved from blue tiles are piled up with jade. On the wall, a straight pillar on the huge altar in the center was carved with a lifelike dragon pattern, facing the phoenix on the palace. A huge moon pearl hung on the top of the treasure in the palace, shining like a bright moon. Following Hortisha, he walked up to the central altar. In the middle of the altar stood a stone stele on which was carved some characters that Garner didn't recognize. Below the stone stele, there is a white jade platform on the left and right. 3 jade boxes are quietly placed on the jade platform on the left, and a stone box is placed on the jade platform on the right. Hortisha stepped forward and went straight to the Ute on the left. The inheritance treasure house of the Elmero family would only be passed on to your eldest sister after I die. You and your second brother will go through this life peacefully, but your second brother ran away from home in the early years. I don't even have a letter, I don't know whether I live or die. Speaking of his second son Leslie, Hortisha seemed to be 10 years old in an instant. But you don't know why, you insist on joining Marine, lousy, I have to worry about you shit at my age. Hortisha yelled. Pointing to the 3 jade boxes on the jade platform, Hortisha said in a sad tone, these are the ancestors of the Elmero family, the legacy treasures left behind. Our family has been rooted here for hundreds of years. On a piece of land. According to the wishes of our ancestors, I rarely walk out of this land. I did not expect that in my generation, your second brother left a letter and wandered away, and you followed the old path of your second brother. Inheritance? Garna asked suspiciously. According to Hortisha, his family is still a family with secrets, shouldn't it be an ordinary royal family? Hortisha obviously didn't want to say much, he picked up the jade box on the far right, and said, there is a paramecia devil fruit, a treasure that was collected by the royal family 200 years ago. The members of the Elmero family have guarded the family land for generations. Very few people go out, so this fruit has been sealed here all the time. Devil fruit. Garner was taken aback. He didn't expect that the treasure in his hand turned out to be the secret treasure of the sea. Before obtaining the system, he had thought of collecting devil fruit, but he did not expect to collect one in his family. But think about it, although devil fruit is rare, as the royal family of a kingdom, it is not short of money. As long as you have the heart, collecting a devil fruit does not seem to be too difficult. Devil fruit is called the secret treasure of the sea by those who live on the sea. After eating devil fruit, you will get incredible powers. All devil fruits are unique. Only when the capable person dies, the devil fruit that he once ate will reappear. Devil fruit is divided into 3 major factions: Paramecia, Zoan, Logia. Among them, Zoan has branches of ordinary species, ancient species, and phantom beast species, and Logia is the strongest category in the conventional sense. Paramecia has the largest number of all devil fruits, 5 flowers 8 gate. According to different abilities, they can be divided into 5 categories: superpower, superhuman body, creation, local supernatural power, and dominance. Superpowers such as magnetic fruit and OPOP fruit allow the holder to have abilities, superhuman bodies such as rubber fruit and spring fruit can transform their bodies into special substances or objects. Creations such as wax fruit and biscuit fruits can create objects or substances. Local abilities such as meatball fruit, munch fruit, a certain part of the body is given abilities, dominate such as stone fruit, golden fruit, you can control the specified substance at will, and you can also make the body transform into the substance. For ordinary people, a powerful devil fruit is the quickest way to become a strong one. Although your sister said that your swordsmanship is already quite powerful, you must remember, Garna, Hodi Shah said solemnly. Grand line, you can make a name in the sea. There is no easy person. Don't be arrogant thinking that you have some strength. Touching the bridge of his nose, Garna smiled. There are countless powerful people in this world. Top powerhouses such as Marine Admiral, 4 emperors, and slaughter the city and destroy the island at every turn. No one knows their power better than him, so the word arrogant but never appeared to him. But he didn't need to argue with his father, he was also out of good intentions. Otherwise, he would not give him the secret treasures that the family had cherished for hundreds of years. Open the jade box, inside it lies quietly a purple pineapple-shaped fruit covered with spiral patterns. The moment he opened the jade box, Garna seemed to see the fruit breathing quietly in the jade box. Chapter 8. Father, do you know what the specific fruit is? Are there any books like devil fruit in the house? Garna didn't take the fruit rashly. According to the record, it is paramecia. Fruit of waves. Hodi Shah cried. Wave fruit. Garner was stunned. The pirate world in his memory didn't seem to have this fruit. Wave, is there any connection with Whitebeard's shaking fruit? Is it the lower fruit of shock fruit? Garner guessed, his eyes couldn't help but glance at the other 2 jade boxes, wanting to ask what treasures are in the other 2 jade boxes. Is there a fruit in every jade box? Will the Elmero family have 3 devil fruits? What fruit will it be? Noting the look in his eyes, Hodi Shah cursed in an angry voice, don't even think about it. It was left by the first-generation ancestors. It is only passed on to the contemporary kings from generation to generation. If you want, stay and sit in my seat. They are yours. This paramecia fruit was collected by the family later, so I can give it to you. If you weren't afraid of getting into trouble outside and being beaten to death, I would not give you anything. In the end, under the persecution of his father, Garna bitterly ate the fluctuating fruit, which was suspected of being a subordinate fruit of shock fruit. After one bite, the taste, the sourness, was 100 times worse than the taste of all the foul-smelling things in the world, and he almost didn't send Garna away directly. Garner, who knows the world of One Piece, knows that devil fruit only has the first bite to be effective, and only one bite is enough. But what made Garner collapse is that the old man Hortisha worried that he would only take one bite, and the effect was not obvious, so he forced Garner to eat the whole devil fruit with his fist. Garner stood quietly, feeling the new power in his body. There is no sense of jerky, as if innate talent, clearly let Garner know the power of this fruit. Paramecia. Wave fruit is different from shock fruit, which emits vibrations by itself, but uses itself as a medium, like a stone thrown on the surface of the water, causing ripples, and then generating shocks, thereby causing harm to the outside world. There are limitations, so it can't do shock fruit, which can cause tsunami, earthquake, and even the terrifying scene of the atmosphere. But similarly, the load on the body is not as great as shock fruit. Although not as powerful as shock fruit, Garna is still full of confidence. Whether devil fruit is powerful or not is determined by the imagination and creativity given to it by the capable person. Therefore, the same fruit is often in the hands of different users. Great difference. Wave fruit, although temporarily unable to achieve the destructive power of shock fruit, but the characteristics and growth of this fruit reminded Garner of the power system described in a comic book in the previous life. Using the fruit of fluctuations, you may be able to realize the ideas in your mind. Garner tried to check his new attributes, but when he turned on the system, he heard an unexpected reply. The power of the source is found. Can it be absorbed? Is it absorbed? Garner was very surprised. For 2 years, the system had only absorbed the life source energy, but he had never heard of the world source. Could it be that there is any magical treasure in the underground palace of the royal family of Elmero that even the system is alarmed? According to the guidance of the system, Garner discovered that it was the mysterious steel a few meters away that caused the system to change. Father, what is this steel? Why don't I know the words on it? Garner asked seemingly inadvertently. A steel left by our ancestors, I don't know what it is. It may be ancient text. Hodi Shah said casually, his tone was calm, but his keen sense of spirit told Garner that his father seemed is deliberately concealing something. A few steps forward, Garner looked at his father and didn't seem to want to stop him. He paced to the side of the steel and lightly tapped on the side of the steel. It was not made of pure stone, and it seemed to have a metallic texture when struck. The power of the original source is discovered. The system can be upgraded after being absorbed. Can it be absorbed? The mechanical voice sounded again. The system, absorbing the power of this source, will it cause damage to this steel? Garner asked in his heart. If he absorbs the power of the source and destroys the steel, Garner dare not absorb it in front of Hordisha and destroy the relics of his ancestors. Garner is afraid that he will be beaten to death by his angry father. No, it just absorbs the power of the world contained in it, and will not destroy the quality of the steel itself. The system replied. Well, absorb the power of the source. Garner breathed a sigh of relief. After half a month, I bid farewell to my family and did not bring anything. I only brought the treasure knife presented by my sister and 2 boxes of precious cigars from my father's study. Garner took the returning merchant ship to the 107 branch and opened a new journey. This time I went back, it can be said that I have gained a lot. The big knife presented by my sister, 3 days and moon zongjin, so that I no longer have to worry about weapons. The devil fruit presented by his father has greatly improved Garner's strength. Thinking of devil fruit, the taste of ecstasy, even after half a month, the corners of Garner's mouth still twitched crazily, and he hurriedly lit a cigarette to suppress his shock. After absorbing the power of the world on the stone tablet in the palace, the system unexpectedly showed an upgrade prompt. Garner didn't care at the time. Later, after the upgrade, a new function was added, absorbing special talents from weapons with soldier spirits and integrating them into itself. When the system was upgraded, the sound of the system machinery came from my ear. The system is upgraded, the initialization is complete, search for nearby objects, and the match is in progress. At that time, the situation was special. Garner did not choose the induction brand, but when he left, he chose the copy function. Then Garner felt that his consciousness was drawn into Uzumaki by a sudden suction. In the dimness, Garner felt as if he was transformed into a cold iron, being held in his hand by a tall old man, and beating constantly, hammer after hammer, day after day. I don't know how long it took. The old man's hand, after repeated calcinations and beatings, the cold iron gradually took the shape of a knife. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter, like this, after 3 years, the old man devoted all his efforts to forging the knife in his hand. When the knife was completed, the light in the old man's eyes was comparable to the stars in the sky, and a mouthful of blood sprayed on the newly baked knife. The blue light of the knife reflected the old man's gratifying smile. From that day on, it had its own name, 3 days and moon zongjin. It was the last knife made by the old man, because forging it consumed the remaining energy of the old man, and he passed away not long after. After his death, it was shelved by the old man's son. For many years, no one came to take it, as if everyone had forgotten its existence. It can't make a sound, it just waits quietly, waiting. Until one day, a young man came to it, picked it up, took it away, and walked onto the battlefield. That was the first time it appeared before the eyes of the world. It was so beautiful and dazzling. Accompanied by the beautiful light of the knife, it was a life lost without a single swipe. The boy's name is Hideyoshi. In that era of endless wars, one man made a knife and created an era. It made him, and he made it. One of the 21 jobs of the great sharp sword, the name of 3 suns and moon zongjin, resounded throughout the world. Hideyoshi's middle-aged, thanked his wife for many years to accompany him to fight the world, and presented it to his wife Bi's Hung Ning Ning. After Hideyoshi's death, Ning Ning changed the name of Sanryu Zongjin to 5 Amiki, referring to cutting off the 5 painful defilements. Since then, it has been passed down to the Hideyoshi family from generation to generation, and along with the long marches of the past generations, it has achieved unparalleled feats. There is no undefeated dynasty in the world. After more than 100 years, Hideyoshi's family fell apart under the attack of foreign enemies. It also fell into the hands of different masters. There are wild swordsmen and brave warriors who continue to kill and fight. After all, killing and fighting are not the ultimate mission and best destination of a knife, are they? It's just that when I was killing, I still missed it a little. The handsome boy who took it out of the ancestral hall and created the Peach Mountain era in the very beginning. Chapter 9. In a trance, Garna woke up from his dream. In his dream just now, he seemed to have transformed into Sanryu Azongjin in the haziness, experiencing the brilliant blade life of this famous sword. With doubts, Garna opened his own panel attributes, name, Elmero Garna race, Terran Devil Fruit, Paramecia. Wave Fruit talent abilities, Moon Palace projection, Supreme Kendo aptitude and comprehension. Any sword-related moves can be practiced quickly and Grandmaster can be quickly acquired. When using swords to fight, the damage caused is doubled. Power of darkness, when fighting in the dark, power, defense, and physical stamina are all doubled. Don't hit me. When the body is injured by fists and feet, there is a chance that all the damage will be rebound, and the body will not be hurt. Antelope speed, with the agile speed of an antelope, the body speed is improved when fighting. Special talent, Soul of Sword, which can improve your own kendo aptitude and sense of swordsmanship, from the 21st and 3rd day of the sword. The system interface has a special talent that has not been available before. The special talent shows that it comes from the 3-day moon sect. It seems that the new functions added by the system can extract new talents from weapons, but I don't know if all weapons are available or limited. Some special utensils. According to the presense, the 2 words branded in the system prompt sound should be some special objects with special meanings before they can enter the dream. Standing up, drew out the knife, and waved it lightly. After taking Devil Fruit, with the newly upgraded Kendo talent, Garna can feel that the current self can easily crush the self that was half a month ago. The strength has improved by more than a little bit. After returning to Division 107 this time, according to his military position and the strength he showed before, the chance to enter the Naval Headquarters Elite Training Camp was pretty sure. After entering the Grand Line, the Elite Naval Headquarters is the most suitable place for Garna to improve. For the next trip, Garner has been trying to perfectly control his soaring strength. The merchant ship traveled for another 5 days, and the figure of Igor Island can be seen on the sea level. Igor Island is a small island with a long history, the only small town on the island. Simple. Coming ashore from the southern port, Garna was going to the town to have a meal before returning to the branch. There is a gourmet restaurant in the town. The owner's smoked liver sauce and his own local wine are delicious. Garna always likes to have a sip when he has nothing to do. After leaving for a month this time, I really missed it a bit. Walk forward quickly, and soon see the small town. This is a seaside town with a long history. The high white lighthouse and the pier surrounded by seagulls affect the memories of generations. The beach is densely covered with pebbles, and there are always children rushing to pick up shells. The dwellings here are mostly low-rise buildings, and the beautiful red roofs are like piles of building blocks, close to each other. In summer, seagulls call, the sea is deep blue and pleasing to the eye, the sun is like broken gold all over the sea, and the coconut trees dance with the sea breeze. Hundreds of meters away from the town, Garna found something wrong. The town was no longer as calm and peaceful as it used to be. There was a noisy noise coming from a distance, and the residents were panicked all day long. What happened? Garner asked when he came to the street and grabbed the residents running by. Pirates. Many pirates have come ashore from the north and are attacking the Marine branch. Marine can't stop it. Before the pirates reach the town, run away, the residents of the town shouted. Pirate. Garna was very puzzled. Because Igor Island is in the town of 107, ordinary pirates will not easily come to harass the town. If it's for money, you shouldn't let the town go and attack Marine first. Garner, who didn't understand, simply didn't think about it, and rushed out at a high speed, heading towards the 107 branch for support. There were still hundreds of meters away from the branch, and fierce fighting was heard. Hundreds of violent sea villains are attacking Marine's position. The 2 men at the head have the same appearance. They are nearly 5 meters tall. They stand like an iron tower. Their skin is tanned and red. They wear armor made of pure metal. The muscles of their arms are twisted like horned dragons, with iron-colored black faces. The top is covered with burgundy curly beards. At the forefront of Marine's position, there were Colonel Connors and Lieutenant Colonel Bell from Division 107, leading the Marine under his command to resist the attack of the pirates with difficulty. During the battle, the bearded man was impressively inside, and 2 more identical figures rushed out, and they rushed to the opposite side. Connors and Bell lost to each other, and they vomited blood and retreated. Garner had already recognized the identity of the incoming pirate at this time. The strong man in the front was the captain of the North Blue's largest pirate alliance, the captain of the Redbeard Pirates, who offered a reward of 55 million baileys, Redbeard. Herd Ding. The captain of the Redbeard pirates, Orakai Hirding, is also a legend among North Blue pirates in recent years. He rose more than 10 years ago. He was originally a trader in the sea. Later, during a voyage, he suffered an accident. Obtained a devil fruit, which made him strong but also made his ambitions especially swelled, so he turned to a pirate who burned, killed, and looted. The extraordinary strategy combined with the power of devil fruit, combined with each other, in just 5 years, he developed the pirate group into a large pirate group with more than 2,000 people and defeated the original North Blue. Brown Bear Lewis, the overlord of Mare Sea, became one of the overlord forces of the new generation of North Blue, and even Marine could not help him for a while. The devil fruit he eats is Paramecia devil fruit, a clone fruit. When fighting, he can create several clones outside of himself. Although the clones can only exist for a short period of time, they have the same combat power as the main body. Fighting against him is equivalent to fighting against a number of big pirates with 55 million bounties at the same time. Unless you have the same number of school-level officers or crushing-level power to defeat him in a short time, you will be in a battle with Redbeard. Disadvantage. It's no wonder that Colonel Connors and Bell couldn't take him together. Seeing that the two were about to be hurt by Redbeard, before he could think about it, Garner attacked Redbeard with a flying slash. Feeling the deadly attack from his side, Redbeard quickly pulled away, and a test rolled to avoid the oncoming sword aura, but the pirates behind him were not so lucky. In the violent impact, several pirates were caught by the sword aura. Past, there is no whole body. Seeing the tragic death of his men, Redbeard was furious, forced Connors and Bell back with a punch, and rushed towards Garner. The violent fist wind tore the air and appeared in front of Garner almost instantly. The strength of the big pirate who offered 55 million rewards was undoubtedly revealed. Little did he know that Redbeard's behavior had long been detected in Garner's feelings. The 3 Sun Moon Zongjin came out of her sheath, and the azure blue knife light slashed across, blocking the Redbeard's attack with great ease. While swinging a knife to block Redbeard's attack, he said, "Redbeard, although I don't know why you attacked the marine branch in a cramp, since it's here, just stay." Chapter 10. The Redbeard was furious when he heard the words, and said with a grinning smile, "The smelly boy is so big, Laozi has been on the sea for decades. Today, I want to see how you trash marines left me, little ones, kill them all for me." The pirate screamed frantically and rushed up. Seeing Bell was going up to help himself, Garner shouted to him, "Leave the Redbeard to me, you go and deal with other people." Seeing Bell and they were still hesitating, they shouted, "Go and save others, trust me." Bell nodded when he saw it. Garner's strength had already surpassed himself. From the flying slash just now, it can be seen that his strength has been greatly improved in just half a month. It shouldn't be a problem to live with a Redbeard. The other marine soldiers, facing the overwhelming pirates, are already clearly at a disadvantage, and the casualties are increasing. At this moment, according to Garner's arrangement, first go to kill the other pirates, and finally work together to help Garner capture Redbeard, is the wisest choice. The two didn't hesitate anymore, and turned to face the other pirate leader. In addition to Redbeard himself, the deputy captain of the Redbeard pirates and the battle instructor who came to attack the 107 Division this time. Although the strength is not as good as Redbeard, the bounty also exceeds 30 million. Originally, Connors and Bell being dragged by Redbeard alone, the rest of Marine were killed by the pirate group led by the two. Now Connors and Bell Teng are fighting against the remaining 2 pirate cotters. Marine has finally stabilized the situation. The two sides presented a stalemate situation. On the other hand, the battle between Redbeard and Garner is still in a fierce fight. The Redbeard is 5 meters tall and wears a metal armor. He is infinitely powerful. Relying on his defensive power, he slams into Garner arbitrarily. Although ordinary slashes can cause damage to him, most of the attacks are the armor on his body was offset and Bell and the others were forced to retreat in this way. At this time, the Redbeard performed the same trick again, and the 3 split avatars also attacked Garner with the same equipment and actions. For a time, they fisted and exploded violently in the ears, and Garner flew the way to get up, cooperate with the experience and color, toss and turn, avoiding the Redbeard's attack time and time again. The combined attack of the 4 Redbeards struck a deep pit in front of Garner. "Ha ha ha, kid, didn't you say you want to keep me? How do you know to hide? I will catch you later, I want to take down your bones slowly." Redbeard laughed wildly. "Let's talk about this next trick." Garner curled his lips in disdain, and the right arm holding the knife was accumulating power, taking himself as the node, and the horrible fluctuations merged into the 3-day moon sect in his hand. Then it was picked out with a superhuman speed. The crescent moon pattern on the knife body seemed to leap out of the knife body under the extreme speed of swing. A huge golden yellow sword energy cut towards the red beard. One sword flow, water moon, cloud cutting. Red beard roared, "It's useless, my defense is invincible." Shouting the bully's cool words in his mouth, Red beard retreated quickly, and at the same time manipulated the clone, trying to avoid the oncoming sword energy. As a great pirate who has been in the ocean for decades, Redbeard, although arrogant, never despises any enemy. Although the boy in front of him is young, the sword spirit he slashed out truly declares the strength of the boy, Jian Hao. On the sea, no one can underestimate the attack of a swordsman, especially a teenage swordsman. So even though Redbeard's mouth screamed loudly, he paid more attention to Garner than Connors and Bell joined forces. Facing the opposite, with the overwhelming golden sword aura, Redbeard shouted the declaration of invincibility, but retreated faster than anyone else. The air seemed to be torn apart by this sword aura, and the defensive power of Redbeard's proud armor became vulnerable to a blow in front of it. Sword chi penetrated the chests of the two avatars who were too late to dodge, and opened a cross-shaped wound on their chests. The avatars spewed out a large mouth of blood, threw them more than 10 meters on their back, and gradually turned into nothingness while still in the air. The Redbeard who was retreating had a pale complexion. If it weren't for him to see the opportunity quickly, his body is now penetrated by the sword aura. Looking at the avatar's wound, just one blow would be enough to send him back to the west. Fortunately, years of desperate career at sea made him more vigilant and directly saved his life. The aftermath of sword energy penetrated the Redbeard clone and continued to fly for several tens of meters, beheading all the pirates along the way, and wailing all over the field for a while, and the smoke was filled. The shocked and angry expression on Redbeard's face has not faded. Silently, behind Garner, a Redbeard clone appeared again, with a sinister smile on his face. Before everyone could react, he held it in his hand. His dagger silently pierced Garner's heart. It turned out that this was the last killer hidden by Redbeard. In the beginning, the clones he could separate were not 3, but 4. Everyone only saw Redbeard fleeing embarrassedly beaten by Garner, killing 2 clones with one blow, at the cost of paralyzing everyone's sight, and the real assassination emerged. An extremely swift blow, decisively stabbed behind Garner's heart. The shock on Redbeard's face just faded, and joy emerged. From the very beginning, the layout of the blow was finally successful. This rare young genius in marine finally fell under the scheming pirate overlord. Redbeard couldn't help laughing out loud, while Connors and Bell, who had been watching the battle here, were shocked. No, Redbeard stopped laughing suspiciously, and the touch from the clone told him that the mortal blow did not work. And Garner, who was stabbed to the point, remained unchanged. Between the dagger and the body, there seemed to be an invisible shield blocking Redbeard's assassination. Volatility shield. It is Garner's defensive skills developed by Devil Fruit. Everything has volatility. Use the ability of volatility to change the volatility of the air, and let the ultimate compression of air form a high hardness air shield, and use the volatility in the air to bounce off damage and attacks from the outside world. Redbeard's clone only felt that the dagger in his hand seemed to be stuck in the sticky glue, his movement was limited, and he tried his best to make the dagger no better. Before he could react, the horrible waves that followed directly bounced him away heavily, slamming him on the ground far away, unable to move for a long while. Looking at the solidified smile on Redbeard's face, Garner smiled brightly and looked at Redbeard mockingly, as if he was dismissive of his little tricks. The famous knife in his hand was swung lightly, and the fruit power was activated at the same time. With the dancing of the blue blade, the naked eye rippled in the air, spreading layer by layer. Using the blade as the medium, the combination of fruit power and kendo slash was revealed for the first time when Garner confronted the enemy. Chapter 11. A terrifying aura erupted from Garner, the vibrating air seemed to be trembling, a drop of sweat slowly dripped from the Redbeard's forehead, and the intuition that was tempered by life and death told him, danger, death, if you can't hold the blow, you will really die. The Redbeard, who was completely locked in by Garner's aura, was completely unable to break free from Garner's aura. At the time of life and death, Redbeard knew that only a full fight can get a glimmer of life. With a roar, the other 2 clones of Redbeard turned into a red light and merged into Redbeard's body. After merging into the clone, the Redbeard's body showed an abnormal red light, and its aura increased gradually. With the help of the energy of the clone in advance, it was integrated into his body, thereby temporarily improving his strength. The Redbeard roared, finally broke free of Garna's lock. And Garna's sword ready to strike has already been slashed towards the Redbeard. One sword flow, empty stay, Tengu return. The pure golden, several meters long, huge sword energy shaped like a Tengu swallowed the Redbeard's figure. The armor made of North Blue's hardest cold iron was easily torn like a piece of paper in front of the sword energy containing wave power. The terrifying wave shattered Redbeard's defenses, and the sword energy that followed was directly shattered the Redbeard's internal organs and robbed him of all his vitality. Redbeard lowered his head, seemingly unable to believe that he was so easily taken away by a young man. Before he could make any sound, with a trace of ferociousness, Redbeard slowly closed his eyes and fell to the ground. At this time, Garna checked the talent attributes of Redbeard. Name, Oryx Eye Hearding Race, Terran Devil Fruit, Paramecia. Clone Fruit. Talent abilities, Clone. Several clones with combat power equivalent to the main body can be separated outside the body. The time is 30 minutes. The number of clones depends on the degree of fruit development. The fruit talent ability is found. It can be copied. Do you want to copy? Copying, Garna did not hesitate to choose the ability to replicate the fruit, the clone ability, or the clone with the same combat power, which is tantamount to a big killer. This should be the best skill he has acquired so far. A copy of the fruit in the consciousness space turned into a streamer and flew into the Redbeard's body. No one except Garna seemed to see this light blue streamer at all. Copying 35%. 60% successful copying. This copying will trigger a random upgrade skill mechanism, which rewards a skill upgrade and a random upgrade fruit ability. The upgrade direction is uncontrollable. Do you want to upgrade? In the mechanical sound of the system, a discordant sound suddenly appeared, adding an upgrade function that hadn't appeared before, which made Garner hesitate. The clone skill is undoubtedly a very powerful skill. The upgraded skill may be more powerful, but the following sentence of upgrade direction is uncontrollable, making him hesitate. Upgrade. Garner gritted his teeth and chose to take a gamble. Random upgrade, 50%, 75%, successfully upgraded. The upgraded skills, clone, only, can be merged. Garner only felt a rush of heat in his body, and returned to normal in a short time. Garner opened his own attribute interface, other data remained unchanged, and a new skill was added to the talent skill column, clone, advanced skill. A clone can be separated from the body, and the clone is unique and cannot be separated anymore. Other clones, but this clone can exist forever independently of the main body. Garna is overjoyed. The newly acquired clone ability is different from Redbeard's multiple clones due to its advanced level. However, the clone cannot be far away from the body and has a time limit. It can only be divided into one clone, but it can be permanently independent. Exist. It means that Garna will get a permanent helper that is equivalent to his own combat power. How can he not surprise him inexplicably? The system really gave him a great gift this time. Redbeard's defeat, the overall situation is set. Connor's and Bell's opponents were shocked, unwilling to fight, ready to withdraw and retreat, but the two took the opportunity to kill them one after another. The rest of the pirates were even more uncomfortable. They were killed or captured by the three of Garna, and the battle soon ended. After the battle, Garner learned from Connors that it turned out that Redbeard led the pirates to attack Division 107 because Bell had caught a group of pirates during a patrol a week ago. Leader turned out to be the Redbeard's own brother. So this time Redbeard was here to save his brother, but unfortunately when he met Garna, not only did he fail to save anyone, he also left his life on Igor Island. When such a big event happened, the chief officer of the branch, Colonel Connors, naturally had to report to his superiors, so he had a hurried chat with Garner and rushed to report to the headquarters, leaving Lieutenant Colonel Bell to deal with prisoners of war on the battlefield. Due to the defeat of the pirate leaders, the situation was quickly brought under control. As Redbeard's primary goal was to retake his brother, the Marine Division was the first to attack. Before he could rob the nearby town, the town was lucky. Avoid the ravages of pirates. After dealing with trivial matters not to mention, Bell then brought good news to Garner. Prior to Garna's application, Naval Headquarters has approved that the warships that do not come from the Japanese Ministry to transport elite officers from all over the world will come to North Blue, which means that Garna will soon be able to train like the headquarters and can meet the long-awaited monsters. Initial contact. Time soon came to the day that Garner left. The headquarter came to North Blue to pick up the training camp officer from the headquarter. It was a rear admiral from the headquarter. He was about 30 years old. He was tall and handsome, and his face was well-rounded. The color of perseverance and calmness. Ability to deal with things, not too long-winded. After handing over the relevant procedures with Connors, he will lead Garner, the only trainee of Division 107, on the warship. Wait. Bearded Lieutenant Colonel Bell suddenly spoke, and in Garner's puzzled eyes, he hurried forward. Hand him a huge wooden box. Garner took it in surprise, and opened it with a smile. Sir, where did you get the cigarettes to send? Before he finished his words, the box opened, and a pair of small mung bean-sized eyes met Garner's eyes as he looked down. The smile freezes. There was no cigar that Garner thought in the box, but a glass water tank with a palm-sized tortoiseshell swimming leisurely. Garner looked up at Bell with a question mark on his face. At the time of parting, Bell finally wanted to leave, and was willing to make soup for himself with his beloved pet. Although it's not a cigar, this one is not bad too. Seeing Garner's clear eyes, Bell couldn't help cursing angrily. Don't be passionate, Igor's custom. People who go to sea, bring a tortoiseshell around. You can bring good luck. Brother has nothing to give away. Yours, Mi Xiaoxing will give it to you. Then added threats. I know what you are thinking. I will tell you, next time I go to the headquarters to report, if you find out, you dare not treat it properly. Lao Zi has taken your skin off. Turning over Byakugan, Garner dangled in a cigarette, vaguely returning. No, sir, I got along for 2 years. You gave me a tortoise when I was separated. What about the cigarette, did you hide it? He said that he was going to feel it on Bell. FK off, no, hurry up and go to the headquarters, it represents the face of our 107, don't shame North Blue. The bearded said angrily. Really not? Garner asked disappointedly. He glanced at Colonel Connors, who was smiling and silent next to him, expecting the old leader to suddenly have a surprise or something. It's a pity that Connors smiled all the way, but he didn't understand Garner's hint. Garner sighed helplessly, picked up the water tank, quickly followed Rear Admiral's pace, and boarded the warship. Go, Marine Ford. Chapter 12. Our warship was galloping in the wind and waves, and there was no eye-opening pirate along the way. Garner took the opportunity to check the attributes of Rear Admiral. There was only one common attribute. Before switching to it, Garner must have copied it without saying a word. But when he was about to enter Marine Ford, Garner did not waste the opportunity to copy. There are not many copy fruits left. Before obtaining a stable channel of life energy, Garner dare not easily waste the opportunity of copying. Instead of taking the conventional route to enter the Grand Line from all over the world, it took more than a month to get to the bottom of the Red Line, take the special passage of the world government under Marie Joyce, and enter the Grand Line. Ordinary pirates who want to enter the Grand Line naturally have to walk the upside-down mountain, climb the upside-down mountain, and come to the Twin Gorge, the first stop of the Grand Line. As Marine, as the sharpest knife in the hands of the world government, because it wants to suppress the Sahai and Grand Line at the same time, there will naturally be a special waterway that belongs to the government, that is, the channel opened by the Red Line under the sacred place Marie Joyce directly to the Grand Line. The warship continued to sail for a long time and arrived at the island where the naval headquarters on the Grand Line is located, Marineford. Garner has always worked hard for it, a place he dreamed of. Looking up from the warship, the naval headquarters stands at the very center of Marineford. There are 4 huge stone pillars guarding it, and the 4 turrets above are full of gunfire, exuding murderous aura. Looking at it from the front, the ring-shaped huge harbor is parked with dozens of Marine's highest-class warships. The hull of nearly 100 meters in length is a giant in this era. The 3-story gun deck, with more than 100 artillery pieces, and a capacity of more than 1,000 people. When an ordinary pirate ship encounters it, a single blow is enough to sink the ship into the sea. Behind the port is a huge square, and dozens of forts around the square form a crossed line of fire. Be guarded strictly and ensure that no one can invade the headquarters. After crossing the square, there is a castle much larger than the square. The 100-meter-high city wall is daunting. The shrine on the top of the castle is a few meters high. It is the highest symbol of Marine's power. The mountains and the sea are integrated, revealing a solemn atmosphere. This time, Naval Headquarters recruited a total of 30 elite officers from North Blue, all under 20 years old. Each is a leader in their respective branch. Some are descendants of branch officers, and some are in the same position as Garner. They were all young and vigorous, and they were different from each other along the way. Rear Admiral doesn't care about them, let them toss, these are Marines' future, soldiers are combative by nature, as long as they do not violate discipline, they will go with them. Garna was familiar with the power in his body all the way, and did not participate in the fights of these young people. However, the power that occasionally revealed, let everyone know that this 14-year-old boy should not be underestimated, and no one came to provoke without reason, otherwise Garner would definitely teach them to be human. Is this the headquarters? It's really exciting. An excited but suppressed voice came from next to Garna. Smiling and looking back, he looked at the young man who was about the same height as himself, with a punk head and holding a samurai sword, trying to pretend to be calm. He took out a cigarette, lit it, and threw it to the boy. Felix, don't think too much, we will all spend the next few years here, just get used to it. Felix, North Blue Marine 97 branch officer, rank captain, 16 years old this year, like Garner, came to this department for further studies due to military merit applications. Along the way, because they are both swordsmen, they will naturally learn from Garna, and then gradually get acquainted and become friends. At the first sight of Felix, Garner felt that his shape and the future naval headquarters vice admiral in his memory. Flying squirrels gradually overlapped. The same face, the same punk head, katana, and a military uniform, except for the two beards that followed, it is completely a young version of flying squirrels. And the system starts to explore. Name, Felix. Race, Terran. Talent. Abilities, swordsmanship. Grandmaster, swordsman genius, can quickly master the essence of swordsmanship. The heart is strong and the stone wears, have a firm will that can wear through the stone. Seeing the acquaintances in his memory, Garner was still a little excited, because it meant that he began to formally intervene in this familiar and unfamiliar world. Felix, the flying squirrel, when he saw Garner for the first time, he noticed the big sharp knife 3 Sun Moon Sex sneer hung on Garna's waist, and a strong intent to fight burst out in his eyes. He immediately stepped forward and invited Garna to discuss with him. He was also a fanatical martial idiot. After recognizing the identity of the flying squirrel, Garner also deliberately considered the distance between himself and the people he knew well, so he agreed to this discussion. Without using the power of the undulating fruit, pure kendo competition, the final winner Garna. The top kendo talent has given Garna an excellent sense of kendo, coupled with day-to-day diligent practice. Garna's swordsmanship alone has not lost the pirates who bounty 100 million. You must know that the current sea is not the era of the big pirates after Roger's death. The bounty water has not yet floated behind. The pirates who bounty over 100 million are considered to be proper big pirates even in the Grand Line. The flying squirrel who lost to Garna learned that Garna was still a demon fruit power, and when fighting with him, he only used pure kendo strength and expressed his conviction with his strength. After coming and going, the two became good friends. The crowd followed Rear Admiral and disembarked from the warship, and a 30-year-old officer in the uniform of a major came to face him. He stepped forward to salute Rear Admiral and said, "Welcome back, LOL Rear Admiral, Sengoku Admiral instructs you to go to his office to find him when you come back. I will bring these colleagues to the training camp." Lord Rear Admiral nodded, and asked casually, "Are they back, Jean Rear Admiral?" "Yes, Major Kaido, Jean Rear Admiral and the others arrived yesterday. The other seas trainees are already in place, just waiting for North Blue officers." Lal nodded, then turned to look at the people who were still looking around curiously just after getting off the boat, and confessed, "Okay, I'm going to the headquarters to reply to the appointment. You will assemble with Major Carey to the training camp. Instructor trains you." Looking at the back of Lore, the flying squirrel approached Garna and whispered, "It seems that this training camp is not only North Blue, but also officers from other sea areas." Garner nodded and looked at Major Carey, who had already begun to greet everyone, and replied lazily, "The 3-year officer training camp is definitely not the only officers from North Blue, maybe there are officers from the headquarters. In short, if people don't offend me, I don't offend others." Chapter 13. Follow Carey across the square, enter the castle, and walk for half an hour before arriving at a military camp. Before entering, there was noisy noise inside. Upon entering, there were hundreds of officers standing scattered in the square, faintly forming a circle. Inside the circle, 2 young marine officers were fighting. The teenager on the left is a Zoan demon fruit power, an orc-shaped form. From the outside, it should be a Zoan canine fruit power. Zoan devil fruit canine fruit ability, orc form, possesses the ferocity and cunning of a carnivorous animal, as well as a strong body, sensitive speed, and all the torn claws and teeth are reflected in the juvenile body. The boy on the right was not an opponent at all. He was suppressed and retreated. Had it not been for the dog boy, he would have been injured long ago. "Stop it, Captain Dalmesia!" Major Carey stepped forward and stopped the fight between the two. The military camp must not start fighting for no reason. "Have you forgotten the rules of the training camp?" Carey scolded. Teenager Inuyasha, "No." Dalmesia stopped the fight, but did not lift the transformation. Watching the injured boy being supported by his companion, he lazily explained, "Major Carey, I am not provoking, just with this South Blues classmates are playing a friendly match, and by the way, let them, who are from all over the world, understand the gap between the next headquarters and the 4 Seas. What are you talking about? Are the officers in this department amazing? That is, why do you look down on officers from all over the world? Have you ever been on the battlefield? The military rank on your body depends on the relationship of your parents, you second-generation ancestors." Dalmesia's words caused an uproar in the crowd. For a time, the crowd was excited, and most people began to make excitement and noisy. Garna and the others noticed that the crowd was clearly divided into 2 camps, some of them were about 20 or 30 people standing behind Dalmesia, and the remaining 80 or 90 people were standing on the side of the defeated teenager. It is the camp of the headquarters and the 4 Seas. Needless to say, they from North Blue must be automatically classified as the 4 Seas camp. Dalmesia, if I remember correctly, it should be the same as the Flying Squirrel in the future. He is also one of Marine's 16 Vice Admiral, Zoan Devilfruit. Canine Fruit. Animal Shape Ability. This is also a powerful Vice Admiral. In the future war on the top, a finger pistol will severely damage the pirate, King Luffy, who is considered powerful. Unexpectedly, when he was young, Dalmesia was a rebellious thorn. "Shut up, Dalmesia, I will report your behavior today to the corrections department. Now, everyone is in line, Zephyr Admiral will speak to you later." Major Carey said blankly. Seeing the North Blue people behind Major Carey, Dalmesia curled his lips, did not talk back, and muttered, "Is there just so many people in North Blue? It seems that few can fight." Towards Garna and the others, Dalmesia raised his eyebrows and shouted, "Hey, North Blue is here, do you want to discuss it later?" He didn't wait for them to answer, maintaining his orc form. Returned to the camp of the headquarters. After the line was over, after a while, a few figures walked in the distance. Walking in the forefront, a short purple hair, a tall and sturdy figure, is the original Admiral of Headquarters, Black Arm Zephyr, who defeated countless pirates in his life, but never killed any enemy. He was called Don't Kill Marine Admiral. In Garna's memory, Zephyr was killed by pirates a few years ago because of his family. Disheartened, he resigned from the Marine Admiral position, retreated behind the scenes, and became the Marine Elite Training Camp instructor. Most of the high-ranking Marine officers in later generations were his students, including Marine's top combat power who suppressed the sea in later generations. Admiral was also his student. Walking behind Zephyr is a row of Rear Admiral Vice Admiral officers, entering the playground in an orderly manner. Walking to the front of the teenagers, Zephyr scanned the front majestically, and said in a loud voice, "Standing here are all elites from the world and the headquarters. In the next 3 years, you will be classmates regardless of size. For 3 years, I will train you strictly and conduct assessments every year. Those who fail the assessment twice will be automatically withdrawn from the training camp." Seeing the unmoving formation below, Zephyr nodded in satisfaction. "Standing here, there are a total of 150 elite students in the headquarters and the 4 Seas. In addition to this time, I also brought a special enrollment student today." Zephyr looked back and said, "Kuzan, get out." The teenagers turned their gazes behind Zephyr, and saw a young man slowly walked out behind Zephyr. He was tall, dressed in a white suit vest and dark blue shirt, dressed in Captain Marine uniform, fluffy hair and a green eye patch on his forehead. A look not awake. "Kuzan." Garner raised his head and looked directly at the young man in front of him. He didn't expect to see Marine's future 3 Admiral, Logia Devilfruit Frozen Fruit capable person, Admiral Aokiji here. So Aokiji only joined Marine at this time. Garner thought. The vague memory of One Piece made Garner no longer remember some unimportant plots. He didn't expect to join the training camp this time and become classmates with Kuzan when he was young. Zephyr didn't introduce Kuzan further, and it seemed that he didn't plan to inform the youth of Kuzan's strength. However, Garner saw the unhappy expressions on the faces of the teenagers in this department, and guessed that they must be dissatisfied that Kyuzan will become a special enrollment student. After all, special enrollment is usually given to the particularly powerful Marine. Now suddenly an inexplicable person has emerged as a special enrollment, and this group of young officers who are fearless must be unhappy. Garner wondered whether Zephyr deliberately didn't tell them Kyuzan's ability, and hoped that someone refused to accept it and challenge Kyuzan, so as to prove Kyuzan's ability. After Zephyr finished speaking, he introduced the other general instructors behind him, and asked everyone to follow Major Carey to arrange accommodation. The next day of formal training, he didn't say much, and left with a group of generals. N.S. Kyuzan did not leave, and followed everyone to the dormitory. The naval headquarters was large enough and there was no shortage of money, so the officers' dormitories were all single rooms, and the accommodation conditions were not bad. The dormitory was arranged randomly. Coincidentally, Kyuzan's dormitory and Garna's dormitory were separated by a room, and the one living in between them was Dalmesia, who had always maintained the orc form. With such ample physical fitness, should it be regarded as the future elite vice admiral? However, this arrangement is in line with Garna's heart, and he came to Marineford with all the fortunes and hardships. Isn't it because the strong are like clouds and there are so many capable people? Demon fruit power, which is rare in the world, is very common in Marineford. For Garner, who has the system, the next 3 years will be a heavenly life. No, when I first came to Marineford, I ran into Kyuzan, which was an unexpected surprise. When passing by the Kyuzan dormitory, Garna's ability was activated directly to detect Kyuzan's attributes. Chapter 14. Name, Kyuzan Race, Terran Devil Fruit, Logia. Frozen Fruit Talent Abilities, Frozen Body, it can freeze all things that come into contact with it, can turn any part of the body into ice, and is immune to physical damage. Exclusive skills, not copyable. 3000 thoughts per thought, Special Physique, a physique that matches the frequency of Devil Fruit, increasing your own perception of the development of Devil Fruit. Burning Justice, double the damage to the pirate faction. Ice Age, inflict a lot of ice attribute damage on the enemy and reduce the enemy's movement speed. Ice Armor, an invisible armor composed of the power of ice, which can increase its own defense power and automatically offset part of the damage against the attack. Lazy Sleep, you can enter a deep sleep state anytime and anywhere, and you can recover your strength and injuries during sleep. It is worthy of being the future admiral, the world's top powerhouse. Although he has not yet grown up, he has displayed 5 talents, which has already made Garner amazed. Although something strange seems to be mixed in, the 5 talents are already the talents with the most attributes among the people Garner has encountered. Reproducible capability is found. Do you want to copy? Copy 1 Mine 3000 and Ice Age ability. Garner didn't hesitate to use up twice the number of copies to copy Kyuzan's ice attribute ability Ice Age and 1 Mine 3000. In this world, some people are born to be suitable for swordsmanship, some are born to be suitable for physical skills, and some are born to be superhuman in Devil Fruit's perception. 3 With Logia Devil Fruit, Admiral has become the top powerhouse in the One Piece world. Naturally, his talent in fruit development is beyond doubt. Take a look at marsh fruit developed by Wet Hair Caribou, and compare the fruit abilities of Admiral to know how important talent is. One thought, 3001 Look is the ability to help Devil Fruit develop. The fruit development talent is one of the talents that Garner, who also has Devil Fruit, is one of the talents that must be obtained. Only with the fruit talent of Admiral level can the fruit be fluctuated. Develop more powerful skills. The development of Devil Fruit is indispensable for brain, physical strength, and talent. In the future 3 Admiral, everyone will develop their own fruits to ultimate, and become the world's top powerhouse by virtue of the fruit ability. This is exactly the reason. It is as powerful as an explosive fruit. In the hands of Mr. 5, you can only throw booger. Ordinary such as string fruit, fleshy ball fruit. It is hard to be developed by Doflamingo and Bartholomew Kuma with incredible abilities. It can be seen that the talent of fruit development has an effect on the fruit ability. Impact. Since obtaining the fruit of fluctuation, Garner has been experimenting with an idea in his mind. The top talent will make his idea come true faster. Kyuzan's frozen body is indeed extremely powerful, but unfortunately it is Logia's exclusive skill and cannot be copied. Garner can only take the second place, copying the talented abilities of the Ice Age. The Burning Justice and the damage bonus are still only for the pirate camp. Garner does not want to waste precious copy times for the time being. After all, it can only be increased once a month. Although the ice armor is also good, Garna prefers attacking directional skills instead of pure defensive skills for the time being. As for the last lazy sleep, Garner said he didn't recognize it at all. In the familiar heat surging, Garner felt that his attributes were quietly changing. In addition to the fluctuating power, there seemed to be more icy power in his body. The idea of devil fruit development in my mind is even more brilliant, and countless ideas have emerged one after another. Garner resisted the idea of experimenting with his new abilities on the spot, and walked slowly back to his room. Back in the room, Garner can't wait to open his attribute panel. There are 2 new abilities in the talent ability. Ice Age, special. The ice attribute power in the body can be integrated into weapons and abilities, causing a lot of ice attributes to the enemy harm. 3000 thoughts per thought, special physique, a physique that matches the frequency of devil fruit, increasing your own perception of the development of devil fruit. Trying to mobilize the power of ice and cold in the body, and at the same time activate the wave ability, the 2 abilities merge into each other, and slowly emerge from Garna's body, and the indoor temperature obviously drops to an extremely low level in an instant. With the cigar dangling from the corner of his mouth, the sparks fluttered a few times and went out in an extremely rapidly decreasing environment, and a layer of ice quickly formed on the surface of the cigar. Garna controlled the wave of power and did not radiate, otherwise the entire room would collapse. The fusion of ice cold and wave power gave Garna's lethality a straight upward trend, and Garna nodded in satisfaction. I feel more and more that my decision to come to Marineford is extremely correct. And when the ice-cold power emerged in Garna's room, Kuzan, not far away, was the first to notice. After all, when it comes to playing ice, Kuzan, a genuine Logia-capable person, is the authority. Are there people who use ice power here too? Is the lower fruit of frozen fruit? Kuzan, who was lazily leaning on the sofa in the room, opened his eyes with interest and glanced in the direction of Garna. Forget it, I will see it later anyway. Kuzan, who was too lazy to think too much, closed his eyes again, activated his lazy sleep talent, and fell asleep in seconds. But Garner in the next room fell into excitement, and even the Mi Xiao Xing who brought the unit with him looked pleasing to the eye a lot. I was going to stew it with my heart. But thinking about what Belle said, he still held back. Forget it, there should be no shortage of this stuttering food in this department. Let's raise it for the time being, Garner thought. Although 3 admirals' talents were what he originally coveted, but he met Kuzan on the first day of entering the training camp, which gave him an unexpected surprise. Only the growth of strength can make him stand out in the next 3 years of training, and then rise step by step in Marine, get in touch with more and more powerful people, and get more talent and stronger strength. This is a virtuous cycle. Akainu, Kizaru, Garp, Sengoku, these are Garna's future goals. With systematic help, through the growth of talent and his own efforts, Garna firmly believes that he will eventually stand at the top of the world. In the early morning of the second day, Garna's biological clock awakened him on time. Unexpectedly, until the sun rose high, the gathering horn was not heard. The playground has long been full of young officers, who are all elites in Marine, and their self-discipline is impeccable. What is puzzled is that the Zephyr, who said yesterday that he was training today, did not appear, and the other instructors did not appear. After all, it was a group of teenagers and young people who couldn't help whispering. Various speculations are speculating about the purpose of the training camp. The final guess was fruitless. The only acquaintance, Major Carey, did not show up in the training camp today. Until noon, no instructor appeared, and everyone could only disperse in the end. The flying squirrel approached and asked suspiciously, "What is the instructor doing?" Garner guessed that Zephyr should be ready to test everyone's xingxing. "Don't worry, Felix, no matter what Zephyr Admiral arranges, we can train as usual." The flying squirrel nodded, did not say a word, walked to the side thoughtfully, and began to exercise. Chapter 15. Garna didn't control people either, and exercised his abilities like no one else. Newly acquired ice attribute power, if you want to perfectly integrate into your own power system, you still need to constantly exercise. Garner firmly believes that any strength, only through hard work step by step, is truly his. Yesterday, I heard Carey introduced that there are 3 playgrounds for the training. The largest one, which can accommodate tens of thousands of people to train at the same time, is for the most common marine training. The medium training grounds are much smaller, but they are made of harder materials and are used for the training of lieutenant level and school level officers. And the last, and best training ground, is exclusively for general-level officers, because general-level officers, even for ordinary training, have an attack power that can't be withstood by ordinary materials. In order to prevent accidental injury to ordinary soldiers, the headquarters has specially built a playground for general officers. And what Garner and the others currently use is the playground used by Lieutenant Academy level officers. With his upper body naked, Garner carried heavy hands and legs, swung 10,000 knives to the limit, squatted 10,000 times with overweight, sweating like rain. Garner carried out a series of extreme training that was almost self-harm. The physiological limit that the human body can withstand under various extreme environmental pressures is called the human body limit. Through arduous training, the human body can break through this limit. Whenever it breaks through its physical limit, the upper limit of the human body will increase significantly. After traveling to the world of One Piece, Garner deeply felt the human potential of the world of One Piece. Everyone in this world has huge potential in his body. As long as he exercises his life in the early stage, breaking the limit is as simple as drinking water. Although Garner's physical talent is not as good as swordsmanship, it is already considered excellent among ordinary people. Through extreme exercises, Garner constantly breaks through his physical limits and makes his physique reach up to the inhuman level. Although there is still a gap with the monsters in this world, Garner never relaxes on his body. Swordsmanship, physique, devil fruit ability, marine 6 styles, armament haki, in addition to a strong physique to be displayed, it also requires a lot of physical strength. An extremely powerful body is the source of all strength. Physical skills alone are enough to rival Admiral, Marine Hero, Garp. Just practice boxing has smoothed out 8 mountains. This is Garner's goal in the future. Although there is systematic help, Garner has always had a clear understanding. What the system gives is just like Kaika Suijutsu. Only through one's own exercise, a little bit of the wealth given by the system can be converted into a power that can be controlled by oneself, is the most correct choice. So Garner has always been laughing and joking about other things, but his desire for strength has not allowed him to stop practicing physique and swordsmanship. Garner's crazy training gradually attracted the attention of other Marines in the square. Looking at Garner's jaw-dropping training program, the flying squirrel was also a little dumbfounded. Looking at Garner's terrifying training volume, he decided to temporarily give up the idea of fighting him again in the short term. I usually feel that my training is crazy, and I only know what crazy is when I see Garner's training. The 16-year-old flying squirrel, born as a commoner, is a rare young genius in North Blue. Since joining Marine, he has always been an outstanding existence among his peers. This has also created his arrogant temperament, few of his peers are eye-catching, and he has few friends in the branch. Unexpectedly, when he came to this training department, he was easily defeated by Garner, who was 2 years younger than him, which made the flying squirrel very frustrated. At the same time, he realized that there are people outside the world, and there is heaven outside. The young people have similar tempers and don't know each other. After a battle, they unexpectedly become friends. After the training, I simply had dinner in the Marine cafeteria. I have to say that the food in the cafeteria of the headquarters is good. Unknown sea beast meat makes people open their index fingers when they smell the scent, leaving their mouth and teeth fragrant when they eat it. Back in the dormitory and accidentally bumped into Darmesia in the corridor, the canine boy still maintains the orc form. Only by relying on this abundant physical strength, he can see the demeanor of the future elite vice admiral. Seeing Garner approaching oncoming, Dalmesia raised her head slightly, and said to him in a dazed manner, "Get to know, next door, my name is Dalmesia. Today, on the playground, I saw you. Trained, you are very strong." "Thank you, I also saw your battle yesterday, and you are also very strong." Garner responded politely. "I asked people to ask. You are not only a swordsman, but you are also from Demon Fruit Power, North Blue. You should be respected by your strength. How about playing a game with me another day?" Seeing the eager eyes of the other party, Garner nodded indifferently. "Okay, do you want to bet something? Do you smoke? How about betting on a box of Black & Decker Christie cigars? The generals in this department specialize in cigars, and are usually divided. I can't get it, I've always wanted to try it." Garner leaned against the wall, lit a cigarette, and handed it to Dalmesia. The boy was taken aback for a moment, and subconsciously took the cigar handed over. Obviously he did not expect that this boy who looked younger than him would turn out to be an old smoker. "Okay, as long as you can beat me, don't say 1 box, 10 boxes are not a problem." As a child of Marine senior cadre, Dalmizia obviously has a way to get Black & Decker cigars. And Dalmizia is very confident in his own strength and does not believe that he will lose to Garna. He is not the high-ranking codders of the world government who come here to gilded by eating and waiting to die. Although he is a C second generation and has an arrogant personality, his combat effectiveness has long surpassed the strength displayed by his military rank under the rigorous training of his father since he was a child, coupled with the improvement of Devil Fruit's combat effectiveness. Otherwise, they would not easily defeat West Blue's elite Marine officers yesterday, and they would still be merciful and lose without hurting the opponent. Hearing that there was a cigar available, Garna's eyes lit up and he became interested. The Black & Decker Christie cigar is one of the top 10 brands of cigars in the world. It is specially made by the Havana Group and is exclusively for Marine and World Government senior officers. It is rarely circulated on the market. As an old smoker for many years, Garner has been coveting Black & Decker cigars for a long time. If he has the opportunity to get it this time, he will naturally not give up. He readily agreed to Dalmizia's request for a battle. If you lose, are you ready to lose anything? Facing the boy's question, Garner touched his nose and replied, "What? If I lose, I will lose to you the extremely rare North Blue Sea Beast I have kept for many years." Looking at Dalmizia's expressionless face, Garna said sullenly, "That sea beast is extremely rare and rare in the world. I have raised it for so many years, and it can be said to be my beloved relatives and friends." Pass. Chapter 16. In order to know himself and the enemy, Garner turned on the system's detection function to detect the attributes of the juvenile canine. Name, Dalmizia race, Terran Devil Fruit, Zoan.canine fruit. Madara. Dog form. Talent skills, canine fruit, Madara. Point dog in battle, it can absorb the opponent's blood to slowly restore its physical strength and endurance. Few uninhibited dogs, it can maintain the Zoan orc form for a long time, with reduced physical exertion, irritable personality and aggressive. After checking, Garna already knew the attributes of Dalmizia. With good physical talent and Zoan Devil Fruit, Dalmizia must follow the physical expertise route. No wonder the officers from West Blue were defeated by a few tricks yesterday. Garner estimates that among the officers from North Blue, it is estimated that he and the Flying Squirrel can fight him, and the others are slightly inferior. From the perspective of talent, we can see that the gap between the future elite Vice Admiral and Admiral is not just a gap in military rank. There should be a barrier between Vice Admiral and Admiral. General Vice Admiral and Elite Vice Admiral, there are a lot of Marines, and the world's top combat power Admiral, the current Marine includes the predecessor Admiral Zephyr, the current Admiral Sengoku, and the Vice Admiral rank Admiral Strength Garp. In the future, Marine's world's top combat power will only be Aokiji, Akainu, and Kizaru Admiral. In the history of Marine, Admiral has not had more than 3 positions. One can imagine the strength gap between Admiral and Vice Admiral. Arranged to have an appointment the next day, Dalmizia did not entangle too much, and returned to the room contentedly. It is said that he was planning to fight Kyuzan, but he went to Kyuzan but he was empty. Kyuzan didn't know where he went to sleep again. I just met Garna who was back, and felt that Garna was good at him, so he took advantage of the situation and made an appointment with Garna. Although he didn't know why he became a cigar gambling, it was not bad, he couldn't fail. After defeating the North Blue Marine, he challenged Kyuzan to completely establish his title of number 1 Marine. Seeing Dalmizia returning to the room, Garna leaned against the wall and got up after smoking his cigarette. Although he checked the attributes of Inyajuan just now, he did not choose to copy the talent. Dalmizia's physical talent and the ability to restore physical strength in the Battle of the Dog Fruit are more practical for Garna. Unfortunately, the number of copies is currently only 3, and of course it must be used for more valuable goals. Dalmizia, for the time being, does not possess this value. Taking a deep breath, Garner walked briskly back to the room, excited for the upcoming Black & Decker Christie tomorrow. The next day, 3 poles in the sun, and still did not see Zephyr. Garner didn't care too much. After feeding Mi Xiao Xing, he went on to the training ground and performed high-intensity exercises like yesterday. On the 3rd and 4th days, there was still no one in the barracks for training. It seemed that the barracks had been isolated from the world. Everyone seemed to be stalked. Gradually, some people didn't come to the playground at sunrise, and there seemed to be fewer people to train than at the beginning. The Sea King's meat provided in the cafeteria at the headquarters contains sufficient nutrition. In just a few days, Garna can feel his physical growth. On this day, while exercising, there was a sudden noise, and gradually walked towards Garna. Looking up, a group of teenagers in this department are walking together, and the target is Garna. The teenager headed by is Dalmizia. Coming in front of Garna strode, Dalmizia said to Garna, "Hey, I made an appointment that day. Tenten is very angry today. I will deal with you today, and then go to the special enrollment." "Is the smoke taken?" Garner asked, raising an eyebrow. "A box of Black & Decker Christie is not a precious treasure, you can take it out at will, but you have to win me." Dalmshia coldly faced Kide, and the breath of the local tyrant army second generation rushed towards her face. "Then stop talking nonsense, do you fight now?" Garner seemed to have seen Bod Christie beckoning. Everyone vacated an open space, and the North Blue people surrounded them one after another. Garner was the strongest from North Blue, and they were very curious about the battle with their peers. However, the Flying Squirrel is confident in Garna. He also watched the battle a few days ago. Although Dalmizia is also very strong, he is not without the power of a battle. When facing Garna, the Flying Squirrel didn't think he could win, but he had a deep understanding of Garna's strength. Seeing Garna put down the 3 suns and moon sex in his hand, Dalmshia asked unexpectedly, "You don't need a knife. It's just for discussion, no need." Garner answered casually. "Then I'll use it for you." Dalmizia's eyes flashed with anger. Without a word, his feet exerted force, and the bricks and stones under his feet exploded. Erna struck. Seeing and hearing Garner in the opening, the attack on Dalmizia was clear to his chest. Focusing on the palms, steadily catching the opposite fist, taking advantage of the trend and pointing like a knife, slashed towards Dalmizia's wrist. Seeing Garna catch his own punch, Dalmizia stayed quiet, stepped back, and avoided the fingertips. The figure flickered, and he went around behind Garna very quickly, leaped up, his hands claws into claws, and grabbed Garna's shoulders. Garna didn't turn his head back, and the corrugated shield activated, blocking the attack behind him. Turning around, kicked Dalmizia's abdomen, and the power of ice and cold invaded his body. Dalmizia couldn't take advantage of it in the air and was kicked a few meters away. Fortunately, Zoan demon fruit power itself resisted the beating, and Garner didn't give his full strength, just rolled around on the ground. His posture was a little embarrassed. "Devil fruit." Dalmizia stood up with a solemn expression. He thought that Garna was a swordsman, but he didn't expect it to be demon fruit power. "Yes, did you not investigate your opponent's situation before you came to the fight?" Garner said silently. However, every time Garner exercises in the past few days, he is only exercising. Except for the officers who came with North Blue, the rest of the training camp really don't know his details. "Come on again." Dalmizia jumped up, seeming to be affected by the internal cold. His body shape is not as flexible as before, but his strength is indeed increasing. The violent force exploded on the playground, and the bricks and stones under the ground were shattered piece by piece. Aroused the whispers of the crowds around. "So strong, this is Zoan Devil Fruit. Didn't it mean that this playground is for the characteristics of school-level officers? Why is it so unbeatable? Does his attack power exceed the school level?" Dalmizia was around Garna, leaping quickly, his eyes getting redder, and his look grim, waiting for an opportunity, looking for Garna's flaws. Chapter 17. Garna stood in the field, his hands hanging down, motionless. Taking itself as the center, stimulating the surrounding ripples, as if there is a layer of invisible spider web, densely arranged around Garna. It was as if on the calm water, any movement around Garna seemed to break the calm of the water and rippled. In the rippled vibrations, all the situations were fed back to Garna's mind through the cobweb. The power of the ripples, combined with the colors of seeing, hearing, spread, and every move in the entire square could not escape Garna's monitoring. The cunning and endurance of animals is vividly reflected in Dalmizia. The damage that Garner caused to him just now has not caused much impact under the strong resilience. After several tentative attacks were easily blocked by Garner, Dalmizia did not launch another attack, preparing to use his strong physical strength to bring down the opponent, and to find the opponent's weakness during this period. He is extremely talented and possesses ample physical stamina enough to maintain the orc form of battle for a long time. At this time, Garner moved. Take a deep breath, turn sideways, swing a fist, and hit the air on the left. The ripples visible to the naked eye spread in the air, and everyone from 100 meters away seemed to be able to feel the terrible chill contained in the ripples. On the root of the ripple fist, Dalmizia's figure suddenly appeared, and under his astonishment, he abruptly took a heavy fist. Zoan's proud physique was completely shattered by Garna's wave fist, only having time to cover his head with his hands. Puff! A mouthful of blood spurted out of his mouth, and before it landed, it was frozen by the cold force in the air. A terrifying punch broke Dalmesia's arms. Listening to the sound, at least 7 or 8 bones in his body were broken. Dalmesia threw out heavily, fell to the ground, and simply fainted. Wow! The noise came to mind. The people around didn't expect the battle to end so soon. Dalmesia, who had previously defeated East Blue, West Blue, South Blue trainees, was easily defeated by the North Blue teenagers. This was unexpected to everyone, even North Blue's trainees did not expect Garner to be so strong. Demon fruit power, it was so easily defeated by Garner. The trainee in the headquarters was shocked and hurriedly rushed forward to check the situation in Dalmesia. Don't worry, I keep my hand. With his resilience, he can recover in at most 1 week. Garner put on his shirt and said. In the world of One Piece, people's physique is so unreasonable. No matter how serious the injury is, they can recover when eating, drinking, sleeping, and sleeping. Besides, Zoan-capable people are known for their strong physique and resilience. North Blue's trainees have gathered around. They are also North Blue's camp. The victory of Garner also made them very proud and very excited. Garner in the crowd turned his head and glanced, seeing that Dalmesia was being carried by the boys in the club to leave, and hurriedly shouted, when he wakes up, remember to tell me the sound, and wait for his cigar. Oh! The teenagers looked back at him bitterly. One of the teenagers took out a pack of cigarettes from his arms and threw them angrily like Garner. Take it, brother. Dalmesia is not someone who can't afford to lose. It seems that in the past 2 days, Dalmesia is trying to find a way to smoke. Although I didn't think I would lose at first, I accepted the gambling game and went to find the cigar for the gambling game first. Garner expressed his appreciation for this excellent gambling product. When he wakes up, if he doesn't see outside, he can make friends. Garner held the cigar box and nodded thoughtfully. Afterwards, the cheering crowd pulled away to celebrate. With a flying squirrel on the head, he insisted on a treat and had a good drink. In the evening, Garner, who was drinking a little dizzy, staggered back to the dormitory. When approaching the door of the room, suddenly a cold force surged from the right side, pointing towards Garner's waist. The originally drunk-eyed Garner reacted swiftly, turned around and drew his sword, and swung out the sword energy that also contained the power of ice. The golden sword aura collided with the freezing icy arrows in the air. Cancel each other out. Looking intently, the sneak attacker was Kyuzan. After all, in this training camp, if he talked about the power of ice, the first thing Garner would think of was him. Kyuzan? Garner asked, expressing puzzlement. La, did you send out the power of ice that you sensed that day? I heard about your battle this afternoon, and I only tried it out of curiosity. Don't blame it. When he was young, Kyuzan was not as lazy as later generations, and still maintained the young man's temperament. Really? Then you take my sword and try. Garner didn't have the habit of being beaten and not fighting back, and another sword aura slashed towards Kyuzan. Admiral in the future is very strong, but the young version of Admiral is not ashamed of Garner today. The power of ice and cold spread in the corridor. Kyuzan did not evade, and instantly the whole person turned into ice, and then was shattered by Garner's sword energy. Garner, who has not learned armament haki, knows that ordinary attacks will not work against the current Kyuzan. He didn't swing the knife anymore, and put the knife decisively away, watching the ice cubes on the ground condense into Kyuzan's figure again. La, attacking you rashly, it is right to be angry, and being cut by you to apologize, please forgive me. Kyuzan apologized sincerely. Frowning, Garner looked at Kyuzan, wondering what he wanted to do. I am a Logia Devil Fruit Frozen Fruit ability person. I have previously sensed the power of ice similar to mine from your room. I thought you were eating the lower fruit of frozen fruit, so today I want to say hello to you. Kyuzan said slowly. Galna, from North Blue, my fruit is not Logia. As for the others, there is no comment. Fruit ability is the secret of every capable person. Don't inquire into other people's secrets easily, it is one of the laws of survival in the sea. Kyuzan expressed his understanding that no one would easily reveal their details when they first met. Anyway, as long as you are in the training camp, you will always have a chance to fight in the future. I can feel that you are very strong, stronger than you have shown. Kyuzan said slightly excited, it seems that this time, it is interesting to be tricked by Uncle Garp to join Marine. Kyuzan's words made Garna a little stunned. It turns out that when Kyuzan was young, was Garp tricked into joining the army? Did you see the potential of Kyuzan? Also, those with Logia ability are all sought after products everywhere. But I didn't expect that when he was young, Kyuzan seemed to be a bit martial idiot. The next week is another week, and there is still no one to train these trainees. It seems that the headquarters really let them go. Garna didn't care, except for gathering with the flying squirrels. He was either exercising his physique on the training ground or thinking about the use of fruit abilities. Since gaining Kyuzan's fruit talent, Garna's progress in the development of volatile fruit has been making rapid progress, and the progress is so fast that it is jaw-dropping. Chapter 18. Everything has specific fluctuations, like the human body, so does the stone, and so does the air. As long as you find various fluctuations, you can turn this power into your own use and become your own power. In a cartoon I read in my previous life, there is a technique called Ripple Qigong. Through research in that world, it can be found that breathing is related to blood, because blood carries oxygen from the lungs, and the oxygen in the blood is related to cells, and cells are equivalent to the body. Just like throwing a stone in the water will cause ripples, use a special breathing method to create ripples in the body, thereby generating a powerful force. In the world of One Piece, Garna didn't know that special breathing method, but the world-specific devil fruit filled this gap. Through the ripples of the undulating fruit, Garna easily tried the most suitable frequency for his body, thus realizing the development of his body. With his own crazy and uninterrupted exercise, Garna is confident that he can compete with the monsters on the sea with his physical strength. It can only be said that the fluctuating fruit given by Hortusha was accidentally hit, and it was precisely a fruit that was very suitable for Garna. The fruit of the all-round growth of attack power, defense power, and resilience. After eating the fruit of fluctuation in a short period of time, using this special increase, Garna can feel that his physique has at least doubled its strength. This kind of exercise method ultimately increases the life energy in the human body through exercise, and explodes the powerful life energy in the body through fists and swords, causing powerful destructive power. Garna, who has eaten the fruit of the fluctuation, combined with the ability of the fruit, will only explode more terrifying attacks and damage. Increasing the life energy of the human body is where Garna attaches the most importance to the fruit of fluctuations. Due to the restriction of receptor type, even after exercise, no matter how strong the individual strength, no matter how the life energy in the body grows, there is a limit, and the life energy in the giants, sea kings, and deep-sea super-large sea kings still has a huge amount of life energy. Gap. The combination of wave fruit and wave Qigong gave Garna a chance to break through this kind of racial shackles, allowing the life energy in his body to continuously grow. The ultimate goal of growth is to feed back part of the life energy in the body to the system. Since the system can absorb life energy from the outside world, it can naturally absorb Garna's own energy. It's just that the energy of others can only be absorbed by terminating the individual's life. As a host, Garna can say that part of his life energy is absorbed by the system and become the nutrition of the magic tree. The previous Garna naturally did not have this ability. His own life energy was limited. Even if the system sucked him up, he would not get much energy. And now that he developed the pirate version of Ripple Qigong through the wave of fruit, he has a continuous life energy generator in his body. In the past few years of military training in the headquarters, if he could not obtain life energy, no matter how good his talents and abilities, Garna could only look at it, and now this method has solved Garna's biggest problem. The life energy that Garna can provide every day is about 1 to 2 parts of life energy, which means that it takes 3 months to get a copy of the fruit, but the victory is continuous and stable. Garna believes that with the development of fruit abilities, the growth rate of life energy will become faster and faster. Finally, in the early morning of the 12th day, a harsh sirens awakened everyone in the training camp from their sleep. After the emergency assembly, seeing Zephyr and other officers in the training ground, everyone in the training camp thought they were in a dream. Do the big guys in this department finally think of their little shrimps? I thought it was just like this. I thought Zephyr would give a reasonable explanation for not showing up for so long. As a result, Zephyr didn't say anything, and directly ordered everyone to line up, and with the doubtful people, came to the training ground for the general officers behind. In the center of the venue is a square, silver-gray metal block. Pointing to the metal block in front, Zephyr said blankly to the teenagers behind him, "You are all elites selected by the Sahai branch and headquarters. I brought you here today just to test your current strength. What you are in front of is the latest research and development result of the Marine Science Department, which can test the combat power of all of you." After a pause, Zephyr continued, "When it comes to combat power, it is actually not very accurate. After all, this machine can only test your attack power. The test standard is based on daily. Many of you may not have heard of daily. Daily is a standard for internal testing by the world government. Zephyr said, in layman's terms, a fully armed marine soldier has a strength of 10, and all aspects of strength exceed the limits of the human body, with a strength of 500, which is a superhuman existence. Now, everyone, when you hear the name out, use your greatest attack power to attack the tester in front of you. Whether you have a fist or a weapon, the devil fruit ability can also be used. Take out your strongest strength and train. At the end of the camp, we will devote different energy to train you based on your performance this time. Zephyr said coldly. After Zephyr finished speaking, his body exploded with great power, which made the young students of the branches in front of him feel excited, straightened their waists even more, and squeezed their energy, and they had to perform well in the subsequent assessments. At this time, behind Zephyr, an officer of the rank of Rear Admiral walked out, took out a list in his hand, and read it out loud, "Kufu Cook, get out." In the camp, a blond young man with a mighty build came out, strode forward, summoned his strength, roared, and slammed his fist on the tester. With a bang, the tester didn't move, but one of the top middle areas lit up, and a set of numbers, 289, quickly appeared on it. Hufa Cook, 289 power, the next Adela, go out. Pearson, the power is 245. Next. Taking advantage of the opportunity of the previous student assessment, Garner quietly released the system and began to check the attributes of Zephyr standing in front. Name, Zephyr Race, Terran Devil Fruit, None Talent Abilities, Justice without killing, double damage to pirate forces. 5 Ding Kaishin, when hitting the target, there is a chance to ignore the target's physical defense and cause damage. Musashi 9 Crossing, day after day polishing of the physical body, the ultimate control of the physical body is created. Learning armament haki, the progress is rapid. Shaoruo Giant Tree, in battle, your own physical defense is doubled, which can offset the physical damage to a certain extent. Chapter 19. Garna's eyes lit up, and 3 of Zephyr's 4 abilities are more practical. After hesitating, Garna used a copy opportunity to copy the talented ability of Musashi 9 Crossing. Zephyr's armament haki should be considered very powerful in One Piece, because in every battle, the black armament haki that covers both arms is called Black Arm Zephyr. There is no top powerhouse in this world who can't know haki. Fruit ability, kendo ability, haki, Garna do not want to be shortcomings. In Rear Admiral's shouting, the assessment is proceeding in an orderly manner. Marines' young elite officers are generally above 200, but those who have broken through 500 have not yet been seen. Next, Dalmesia, stand out. At this time, it was the turn of the assessment to arrive in Hermesia. He still maintained his usual orc form, and I don't know if it was for training or preference. Since coming to Marineford, Garner seems to have never seen him turn into a human form. Orc form is precisely the most suitable attack form for Zoan Demon Fruit power. Looking at Dalmesia's appearance, the injuries suffered a few days ago have almost recovered, and the resistance and resilience of the Zoan ability are indeed very pervert. In the end, Dalmesia hit the tester in a boxing, and the power value showed 872. Becoming the first student to break through 500 Deo power value, causing an uproar in the crowd, he deserves to be the leader of this year's Marine headquarters, with a Deo power value of 872, which is indeed something to be proud of. Dalmesia, who had finished the test, turned around and looked at Garna's direction, with a raging warrior in his eyes, as if he wanted to fight Garna again at any time. Next, Felix. After Dalmesia, there are flying squirrels. For this young swordsman who often mingled with Garna, Dalmesia often paid attention to his wounds these days. I think that if you can become friends with Garna, your strength should not be weak. The flying squirrel stepped forward, drew the knife, and slashed. The power value was 869, which was only slightly lower than Dalmesia. It caused another uproar. Unexpectedly, the flying squirrel from North Blue was so powerful. Garna knew that the swordsman itself occupies the innate convenience in terms of attack power. Flying squirrels should be inferior to Dalmesia, otherwise the flying squirrels are only one step away from breaking through the realm of the swordsman, and wait until the breakthrough. The combat power should be able to go further. Rear Admiral also glanced at the flying squirrel slightly in surprise, and then continued to shout, "Felix, the power is 869, the next one, Doberman, Doberman, Garner squinted, and if he remembers correctly, he is another vice admiral of the future. I saw a young man with a scar on his face who also held a knife. It is the existence of a Superman again. 3 times in a row, the Dao power value exceeded 500, which attracted the attention of Zephyr and the officers behind him. Who knew that after Berman, he tested more than 30 students in a row, but no one had a Dao power value of 500. Zephyr couldn't help frowning. Although the quality of this marine has been investigated in advance, this situation is still a bit out of his surprise. Can this class of students never show up the grand occasions of the previous 2 classes anymore? However, looking at the cuisine brought by Garp, I am somewhat satisfied. It is more like the 2 monsters of the previous 2 sessions. It is lucky to be able to produce one in 1 session. How can I expect more? Adela, the power is 430, the next one, Glans Tia, go out. Following the voice, there was a girl in a marine uniform. She was heroic, her hat was a little low, and she couldn't see her face clearly. What makes Garna care about is that the famous sword and sharp sword aura on the girl's body seemed to pierce the clouds in Garna's network of colors. And the introverted sword power on her body was invisible in the eyes of Garner, who was also a swordsman. Jianhao, a Jianhao stronger than Doberman and Flying Squirrel. Garna squinted his eyes, thinking that this year is really interesting. Besides Kyuzan, there is such a powerful female swordsman. Is it the future prospective Admiral Momuzagi? He shook his head. It didn't look like the age should not be the future prospective admiral. Could it be that there are other female swordsmen besides Momuzagi in Marine? But it's not surprising that comics are comics, and it's impossible to draw everyone. Marine is full of talents. It's not surprising that there are several powerful female swordsmen. Isn't the future Tashiji also a female swordsman? I saw Glans Tia stepping out and standing in front of the tester. The others didn't see any movement, only a cold light flashed. The tester burst out with brilliant light, and a golden number that was different from the previous one came from the tester. Show up. 1560. Be quiet, and then there was an uproar around. Everyone did not expect that this looking soft and weak, not very eye-catching female marine, did not know what to do, unexpectedly caused the tester to burst out with a value of 1560. Only the officers such as Zephyr in the stands and a handful of people including Garna and Kyuzan could see clearly. Glans Tia stepped forward and slashed a flying slash with a knife at a very fast speed, hitting the tester. Jianhao's sword slash was the real reason for the tester's burst of 1560 power. Dalmizia also looked at this girl, Marine, who appeared to be from South Blue. I remembered that when he challenged South Blue's officers before, she seemed to see her standing behind the crowd, but she did not fight against each other. It seemed that she missed her eyes. This kind of strength, but in terms of attack power, it has already surpassed him by a large amount. Even if he suffered a blow, even his Zoan physique would suffer. Zephyr nodded in satisfaction. This is also a good seed, cultivated, and at least an elite vice admiral level in the future. Rear Admiral was surprised and surprised. Seeing Glans Tia stepped back without being surprised, the test still had to continue. Next, Elmero Garner, stand out. He finally arrived at Garna, and when he came to the tester, Garna pulled out the 3 suns and moon sex near, mobilized part of the wave power in his body, the life source energy was activated, and he swung a slash with his hand. However, Garna didn't use all his power. Although he is already strong, there is still a big gap between him and the real strong. In the past few years, Marine has developed silently, and the ability to replicate is the top priority. At any time, don't easily expose all your strength and whole cards. This is what Dad Hodi Shah warned him when he was about to set off. Garner agreed. Just leave it to Kyuzan. Even if he didn't use his full strength, the golden power of 2200 still couldn't open the eyes of the other colleges. He is another good seed. Zephyr looked at the juvenile being evaluated and was quite satisfied. The juvenile possessed the strength of a swordsman and had been reported by the branch before he came to the headquarters. The 14-year-old Jianhao was originally a genius among geniuses, so he couldn't help but not take it seriously. Garna was originally the key observation object in this assessment. Through Zephyr's observation of the sloppy life of the previous 10 days, this young man did not slack in the slightest and insisted on boring exercise every day. Talent and perseverance are necessary conditions for being strong. Chapter 20. Zephyr has a very high evaluation of Garner. He believes that in this term, he even has the potential to be comparable to the special enrollment Kyuzan, and he has the potential to reach quasi-admiral in the future. As for admiral, what the word admiral implies is not a height that can be easily achieved. With a power value of 2200, Dalmtia thoroughly saw the gap between him and Garna. As he said that day, his men were merciful, otherwise he would die or be disabled at this moment. For a time, each other was speechless. The assessment continued. During the period, several elites with a power value of more than 500 appeared one after another, but none of them surpassed the flying squirrels, let alone reached the values of Glanstia and Garna. After all the tests were completed, the last test was Kuzan, who Zephyr deliberately left for the end. The young Kuzan gathered the air conditioning on his right arm, released an ice bird, and hit the tester. The power value is 2500. Logia fruit ability, 2500 Deo power. Kuzan is undisputedly the first place in the training camp entrance test. Close behind were Garna and Glanstia. Zephyr was quite satisfied with the final assessment results. This year not only was the same as the previous two, there was a Logia monster, Kuzan, and two more students with the strength of swordsmanship. Among the three, Kuzan is the oldest, 19 years old this year. However, the starting point of Logia's fruit is very high, coupled with the amazing talent of Kuzan himself, it is indeed a good seedling. As for the following Garner and Glanstia, at a young age, they already had the strength of a swordsman, and they were already considered weak in this turbulent sea. The current strength may not be as good as Zephyr's eyes, but Zephyr is more optimistic about their future. Except for the three of Kuzan, other students with more than 500 power points such American Samoa Flying Squirrels and Dalmesia, all have potential. Looking at these energetic teenagers, Zephyr seemed to think of the days when he was young, when he trained with Sengoku Garp and laughed together. Without too much entanglement in the memory, Zephyr quickly cleared his thoughts and looked at the young students in front of him. Very good, this assessment is over now. I believe everyone now has a preliminary understanding of their own strength. Zephyr said, the results are temporarily ahead, don't be proud, temporarily lagging behind, don't be frustrated. This assessment is to do a preliminary test on your strengths so that you can take different training methods according to your strengths. Zephyr wears a pair of sunglasses on his face all the year round, and he can't see the happiness or anger. Now, students who have not reached 400 in the assessment, will stay in the headquarters for training for the time being. For those with a strength of more than 400, ordinary training will not do much to your physique. Next, you will have Garp from the headquarters. Vice Admiral, a special training camp for you. Zephyr said while biting his cigar. Garp heard that Vice Admiral, the hero of Marine, Garp was instructing them to train, and the students with a level of more than 400 couldn't restrain the joy on their faces. Although Garp has always refused to be promoted to the position of Admiral, according to Garna's memory, since the Rocks incident, the world government has publicized Garp vigorously in order to conceal its incompetence, and the name of Marine hero has reverberated throughout the world. Countless teenagers with a heart for justice and dreams, the original intention of joining Marine is to become a hero like Garp. Even Garna's former boss, Lieutenant Colonel Bell, is also an avid fan of Garp. This time I was able to get the idol Garp's zero-distance training. The teenagers who reached the standard were ecstatic, while the teenagers who did not meet the standard were extremely frustrated. They hated why they didn't work hard to get their combat power up to the standard, and thus missed one opportunity to meet idols. Don't worry about the trainees who don't meet the standards. The training conducted by this department will be the most suitable training for you now. After your physique and combat power meet the standards, you can still apply to enter the training camp. Zephyr sees the following trainees or is excited. Or said with a sad look, still maintaining a cool expression. Next, under the leadership of a rear admiral, the students who did not reach 400 will return to the original training site. There are probably only more than 60 students left, not even half of the original number. However, all of them are considered elites among the elite. Not surprisingly, most of the people here are Marine's future mid and high-level officers. It can be said to be the future of Marine. Zephyr led the remaining people, striding all the way to the port of Marine Ford. In the center of the port, a huge warship has been parked. The bow is in the shape of a dog with a bone in its head. It is the warship of Garp, the current naval headquarters vice admiral and recruit instructor. When I arrived on the boat, I saw Garp, who was an upright man. At this time, Garp should be at the peak of his life, tall, broad chest, muscular, with a scar on his left eye, and only a little grey hair in the black hair on his head. Just standing there, Garna could feel the invisible pressure from oncoming oppression. Even if it wasn't intentional by Garp, the terrifying power contained in his body, and the aura of slaughtering thousands of pirates, still made Garna's sword intent stimulated and moved around the corner. In the same way, Garna also felt that an eager sword intent came from beside him. Without turning his head, he also knew that it was Glan's Tia, who was also a swordsman, and the sword intent in his body was equally stressful. Except for a few strong students, the others couldn't feel the power of Garp. As for Kuzan, well, he always looks awake and can't see anything. Feeling the two swordsmanship behind Zephyr, Garp looked at Garner too unexpectedly, slightly surprised. Ha ha ha, Zephyr, it seems that in this recruit, besides Kuzan, there are also a few good seedlings, ha ha ha. When Garp saw Zephyr, he came forward and asked with a laugh. Zephyr nodded, confirming Garp's statement. I brought the people, and I'll leave it to you next. Zephyr still said coolly. Turning around, Zephyr said to the trainees, in the next 6 months, you will be led by Garp Vice Admiral for physical training and Marine 6 Styles training. I know that some of you may have been exposed to 6 styles, but what I want to tell you is that the 6 forms are developed by the government, and are beyond the limits of physical fitness of the human body. What you have learned is only the fur, the true essence, which can only be learned in the headquarters, so cherish this opportunity. Ha ha ha, Zephyr, I will practice them well in the past 6 months. As for how much I can learn, it's up to them. Garp ate the senbei in his mouth and agreed vaguely. Zephyr hurriedly confessed a few words because he had to give advice to other trainees in the department and got off the boat. The Garp ship set sail and left the Marineford port smoothly. Seeing the students' puzzled eyes, Garp laughed happily. Yes, boys, your next training is not at Marineford, but, Hoop. Before the voice fell, Garp remained standing and fell asleep. You are finished, everyone roared. The young people were dumbfounded when they saw Garp's magical skills for the first time. On the contrary, Kuzan, who had seen them, and Garna, who had expected them, looked at the mad people with their usual expressions. Very good, this is One Piece. Chapter 21. At this moment, behind Garp walked out a Commodore wearing a grey suit, a grey top hat, a sword tied to his waist, and a cloak of justice. Garp Vice Admiral often does this, everyone is used to it. The first time I met, I was the adjutant of Garp Vice Admiral, Bogart. If you don't understand, you can ask me. Commodore said politely. Bogart, I remember that there is such an adjutant next to Garp. He has followed Garp for many years and assisted Garp in various matters. He just doesn't know what his strength is. Erner thought. Bogart Commodore, Doberman was the first among the crowd to stand up, salute him, and then asked, where are we going for training? Isn't the training camp in Marineford? Yes, the elite training camp in the headquarters is reserved for people with a power value of 400 or less. The training camp you will go to is on an island near Marineford. The location of that island is relatively hidden, only through permanent pointers. Arrived. Bogey responded gently. Is there any special place? That island? A student asked after saluting. It's a bit special, you'll know it when you arrive. Bogart smiled and didn't respond positively. PA. With a soft sound, Garp was asleep standing next to him, and the bubbles from his nose burst, awakening Garp who was sleeping. Opening his eyes and seeing everyone looking at him, Garp laughed. Ah ha ha ha, am I asleep again? Yes, Garp Vice Admiral. Bogey's gentle voice came from the side. Bogart, leave these guys to you, I'll go catch a fish, ha ha ha. Garp continued to smile heartlessly. Looking at the image of Garp in front of them, many teenagers have the illusion of idle disillusionment. Marine hero, is that true? Bogart didn't care too much, and continued to communicate peacefully with the students. As for Garp, he really found a fishing rod, sat in the bow of the boat, and caught the fish leisurely. Under the guidance of the permanent pointer, the warship sailed for most of the day, and finally came to a remote and enclosed huge island. Looking from the warship, the island was covered by an endless lush jungle. Vaguely, it seemed that the roar of huge beasts could be heard from the depths of the island. Okay, boys, the destination is here. Garp, who hadn't caught a fish for a long time, threw away his fishing rod in vigor, yelled, jumped out of the bow, and hit the open space on the island heavily. Boys from the training camp, get off the boat. Everyone else, except Bogart, stayed on the boat. After Garp finished speaking, he turned and walked towards the depths of the jungle. When they got off the boat, all the students felt their bodies sank. It seemed that something was pulling on the ground, and there was a tendency for the internal organs to fall. Many people were caught off guard and almost sat on the ground. Garner and others also felt the sudden increase in physical pressure, but fortunately they were strong enough to avoid being embarrassed. The gravity of this island is wrong. Garner, Kuzen, Flying Squirrel and others keenly discovered the cause of the sinking body at the same time. At this time, Bogart's voice also came, the gravity on this island is much heavier than the outside gravity. On the outside, the gravity is twice as much as usual. The more you go inside, the greater the gravity. Training camp just on the edge of the island, keep up with Garp Vice Admiral, and get used to it slowly along the way. Then Bogart explained, because of the special nature of this island, only Marines with a power value of 400 or more and a certain physical strength can adapt to the island. If ordinary Marines are not strong enough, they will be able to adapt to the island. Shang is always under extreme gravity, and over time will cause permanent damage to the body. Even so, there are students who have reached the standard in every session, but the students who are not physically strong will withdraw from the training due to injury. Therefore, don't force it. People who feel that they can't stand it can choose to withdraw from the training at any time. Bogey said in a gentle voice. Give a hint of encouragement. Fortunately, the students who came with the boat were all elites. After a short period of adaptation, although they were still uncomfortable, they were at least able to act. So dragged a difficult pace, followed Garp and Bogart, and walked to the training camp not far away. Bogart led the way, his footsteps were light, and he did not seem to be affected at all. Kuzen and Garna walked side by side behind. Although Kuzen is a Logia-capable person, his body is not weak, and he soon adapted to the gravity environment here after he got on the island. Garna, who has recently focused on physical exercises, seems to be surging in his blood every moment under the influence of Ripple Qigong, which merges into the physical body and strengthens his own physique. With twice the gravity, Garna didn't use the power of the ripples to offset it, otherwise it would waste Garp's meaning to bring them to this island. Using his own strong physique, he quickly adapted to this kind of gravity. Glans Tia, Dalmesia, Flying Squirrel and Dogman behind are the third echelon. As a daughter, Glans Tia was physically comparable to a Zoan fruit-capable person like Dalmesia, which was a bit beyond Garna's expectation. As for the Flying Squirrel, Garner knew his strength well along the way. 2 times the gravity, although it will have a certain impact on them, there needs to be an adaptation process, but the impact is not very large. Garner observed and found that the students with a Dao power value of 500 or more, here, although they are not very used to being exposed to 2 times the gravity for the first time, their strong physique allows them to adapt more quickly. Students with a moral strength value below 500, especially those in their early 400s, are relatively struggling to act. It seems that the Dao power value stipulated by this ministry must reach 400 before entering the island, which still makes sense. The follower Bogart walked for a while and then came to the training camp on the edge of the island. It is said to be a training camp, but in fact it is just a simple cottage, surrounded by walls and the facilities inside. Boys, are you disappointed? That's right, you will spend the next 6 months here. Garp, who had arrived early, said after seeing everyone arriving in 2s and 3s. Don't think this is here for vacation. Remember, you are the elites of Marine and are here to train. You can't bear this bit of hardship. What else are you talking about, elites? Garp shouted in a deep voice. Striding into the camp, the rest of the Marine has already greeted him. It should be the troops stationed here. The leader Commodore saluted. Garp Vice Admiral, I have received instructions from the headquarters that all facilities in the camp are ready, just waiting for you to come. Garp nodded, turned around and looked at the group of students behind him, watching the students' faces a little slouched due to the sudden change of gravity, and suddenly shouted, Everyone, line up. Everyone in Garna lined up quickly, all of them were the elites in Marine. In an instant, the team was lined up, and everyone stood straight and majestic. Chapter 22. Garp scanned around, 4 rows in front and back, each row had about 15 people, for a total of about 60 people. Everyone's eyes are fixed on the position directly in front, without distraction, the aura of the elite is fully manifested. You are all selected from this class of students, among the elites, 1 in 100, among them there are lieutenants, there are school officers, but in my place today, all of them are my Garp students. Garp said. I don't like nonsense. I'm here for your training. If you have gravity, adapt slowly. Now everyone, give me a circle around the playground and run until I can't run. The trainees shook their bodies and looked at the playground with a full circle of 1 kilometer. Under twice the gravity, shouldn't they give them time to adapt first? Running directly will kill you, right? What are you doing? Run for me! Garp yelled, punched one by one, and punched Kuzan and Garner at the front with one punch. Garner only felt a flash of black shadow in front of him. He didn't react at all, and he was thrown into the air by Garp with a punch. Holding back the pain of breaking bones, he gritted his teeth and climbed up from the ground, seeing Kuzan who was also blown away from the corner of his eyes. Seeing Garp's ferocity, the students were so scared that they ran away without saying a word. Garner and Kuzan quickly followed. As soon as I ran, I felt the difference. Under the environment of 2 times the gravity, the pulling force of the human bones and muscles will increase sharply. Actions that can be done easily in ordinary times will become particularly strenuous at this time. The internal organs of the body are also constantly bearing this gravitational force, especially the heart and lungs. If an ordinary person stays in this environment for a long time, even the flow of blood will be affected. After a long time, it will be difficult to breathe. Ordinary running, for the current students, is a somewhat strenuous exercise. But under the threat of Garp behind him, he had to run no matter how hard he was. 1 lap, 2 laps, 3 laps. Sweating like rain, breathing gradually heavier, but only heard Garp's loud voice behind him, hurry up, run faster, haven't you eaten? You can't stand this amount of exercise, are you embarrassed to say that you are Marine? I know that many of you are capable people. Tell you, don't let me find out that some of you use abilities. In my class, you can only do purely physical exercises. Garp's words dispelled many people's idea of using abilities. In this sea, if you want to be strong, you don't have a strong physique. It's useless to say anything. Garp took a bag of senbei from his pocket, took a bite, and continued, in the past 6 months, I will be high. Exercise your physique intensively and let you say goodbye to the weak body before. Run for me now, who is running slow, and there is no food to eat at night. Soldiers, give them some appetizers. The students running behind heard the conversation between Garp and the camp soldiers and turned their heads curiously. I saw the soldiers lift out a huge beast cage with 5 giant wolves 3 to 4 meters tall. Bad thoughts came up in the students' hearts. Sure enough, Garp stepped forward, opened the animal cage, and pointed to the students on the playground. The giant wolf should have been tamed or beaten down. Seeing Garp, he retreated with a whimper subconsciously. Seeing the direction of Garp's finger, the giant wolves immediately whimpered twice, rushed out of the cage door, and rushed towards the students. Damn, is there still humanity? The students in the back row cursed in their hearts, not counting people running, and let the wolves chase and bite. At this time, Garp spoke again, boys, run to me quickly. If anyone runs slowly, wait for the wolf to bite. Don't fight back, you hear me? The student who was already exhausted, after Garp's stimulation, his expression changed and his speed increased significantly. There is a saying, when you are chased by a tiger, you don't need to be the first, just beat the people around you. Everyone immediately strove to their feet, spurred their energies, and ran desperately. Garner discovered that these 5 giant wolves were obviously creatures on this island. They had become accustomed to the gravity here, and they ran as fast as a gust of wind. In an instant, he caught up with Marine in the back row, and for a while, he screamed again and again. The students dared not stop, and while running, they flickered, avoiding the wolf kiss behind them. The giant wolves seem to be familiar with these tasks, and they specialize in picking out the backward students. They bite on the fleshy places, but after a few bites, they will loosen it. Slow down and watch the students continue to run. Until I saw someone slow down, I continued to bite. This time, when it was dark, Garp called to stop. The students with lower levels of Dao power sat on the ground one after another, completely exhausted and paralyzed. Kuzan, Garna, and others are powerful enough, but they are also exhausting enough. The giant wolf had been driven back to the cage by Garp, and there were piles of bonfires on the playground. Garp stepped forward and looked at the tired and paralyzed people, Garner and the others who had enough energy to stand very well. It seems that you haven't run enough, standing people, 10,000 push UPS each. It is the nature of soldiers to obey orders, and even no matter how tired they are, Garner and others immediately leaned over and did push UPS. And Garp was shouting loudly from the side. Garner, who was doing push UPS quickly, suddenly heard Garp yell next to him, "The little girl, did you do push UPS?" With a bang, before Garnado thought, he felt a figure hit him. He even knocked to the ground with him. However, Glan's Tia was exhausted and slowed down. Garp kicked him into the air and hit Garner. "Boy, I'm so weak after doing a push-up, and I fall down with a slight bump." Garp roared, stepping forward and punching Garner hard in the head. "It hurts." Garner felt it thoroughly. He was able to hit the rubbery fist, and it was a pain in his heart, as if the fist had doubled the attribute of pain. Seeing that he couldn't get up again and was about to get another punch, Garner didn't care about the charming female marine next to him, and felt to stand up and continue to do it. Glan's Tia was also very strong, got up without saying a word, and continued to exercise next to him. The close contact gave Garna a chance to check Garp's attributes. Regardless of the pain, Garna summoned the system to activate the detection function. Name: Monkey D. Garp. Devil Fruit, None Talent Abilities, Control of Physical Skills. The physical skills trained to ultimate give you absolute control over yourself. Any ordinary physical skills can be used to double the lethality. Iron Fist of Love. The faith of justice is attached to the fist, which can ignore the defense and cause damage to the target. Ultimate Physical Fitness. Bottomless ultimate physical fitness can provide one's own physical fitness for continuous fighting like a perpetual motion machine. Execution of Justice. Stick to the justice of your own marine, and increase the damage caused to any non-marine forces. Drowsiness. Can fall asleep anytime, anywhere, in sleep state, the defense is doubled. A full 5 talented abilities flashed into Garna's eyes. The marine hero, Garp with Admiral's strength, did not disappoint Garner. 5 very powerful talent skills also made Garna entangled. While exercising and distracting, Garner was thinking about copying Garp's talent. Unfortunately, the number of times is limited, otherwise it would be great to copy all of them. There are currently 2 replication opportunities left, and when they are used up, we have to wait for new fruits to form. Without hesitation, Garner directly copied Garp's physical control and ultimate physical stamina. As soon as the ultimate physical talent was in hand, Garna immediately felt that new power seemed to emerge from the already exhausted body, which was endless, and the whole spirit was refreshed. It seems there is no problem to run another 100 laps. Garna was distracted by looking at his latest attributes, and his heart was filled with joy. Name: Elmero Garna. Race: Terran Devil Fruit, Paramecia. Wave Fruit. Talent Abilities: Moon Palace Projection, Supreme Kendo Aptitude and Comprehension. Any sword-related moves can be practiced quickly and Grandmaster can be quickly acquired. When using swords to fight, the damage caused is doubled. Power of the Night: when fighting in the night, the strength, defense, and physical stamina are all doubled. Don't hit me: when the body is injured by fists and feet, there is a chance that all the damage will be rebound, and the body will not be hurt. Antelope Speed: with the agile speed of an antelope, the body speed is improved when fighting. Clone: advanced skills: you can separate a clone from the body. The clone is unique and cannot be separated from other clones. However, the clone can exist forever independently of the main body. Ice Age: special: the ice attribute power in the body can be integrated into weapons and abilities, causing a lot of ice attribute damage to the enemy. 3000 thoughts per thought: special physique: a physique that matches the frequency of Devil Fruit, increasing your own perception of the development of Devil Fruit. Musashi 9 Crossing: day after day polishing of the physical body, the ultimate control of the physical body is created. Learning Armament Haki: the progress is rapid. Control of Physical Skills: the physical skills trained to ultimate give you absolute control over yourself. Any ordinary physical skills can be used to double the lethality. Ultimate Physical Fitness: bottomless ultimate physical fitness can provide one's own physical fitness for continuous fighting like a perpetual motion machine. Special Talent: Soul of Sword, which can improve your own kendo aptitude and sense of swordsmanship, from the 21st and 3rd day of the sword. Chapter 23. Looking at Garner, who suddenly seemed to be beaten in blood, a hint of surprise flashed in Garp's eyes. This brown-haired boy, who seemed to have consumed a lot of physical energy, suddenly recovered 100-fold. Interesting. Garp smiled slightly and walked by Garner, but in his heart he made up his mind to pay more attention to this kid and increase the amount of training tomorrow. Garner was still immersed in the joy of newly acquired abilities, and didn't notice that Garp had been eyeing him, and he didn't know the tragic fate he was about to face in the next 6 months. After doing the push UPS, Garp didn't torture them anymore, but let the logistics bring simple meat for them to enjoy. In Garp's words, it's okay to stay hungry. If you want more meat to replenish your physical fitness, you can go hunting in the forest yourself. On this island, because of its isolation from the world, the resources are abundant, and the beasts are numerous. As long as you have the ability, you will not worry about being hungry. After dinner, Garp flashed away and disappeared, leaving the students free to move around. After a day of tiredness, students with poor physical fitness are already exhausted. I can only go back to the dormitory to rest in order to recover as soon as possible. I don't know what kind of training I will face tomorrow. Although Kyuzan was not very tired, he looked around, yawned, and slowly walked back to the dormitory. Some of the remaining people walked to the side and continued to exercise silently, while some walked in twos and threes and started talking. Garna and the flying squirrel lit their cigarettes and sat by the campfire, swallowing clouds and fog. It happened that Dalmizia passed by and looked at him, and Garna waved quickly. Dalmizia came over in confusion. What's the matter? Losing to Garna made Dalmizia's face a little uncontrollable, and his expression was a little unnatural while speaking. It's okay, are you hurt? Garner asked without words, took out a cigar and threw it over. Dalmizia took a look, but it was Black and Decker, who had lost to him, and his face suddenly turned dark. But he didn't refuse. After thinking about it, he took the match that Garner handed over and lit it for himself. In this way, 3 teenagers, strictly speaking, underage, were in the dark, smoking cigarettes by the campfire, and some chatted. After all, they are all young people. As they chatted, Dalmizia gradually let go. After all, Garna's strength is obvious to all, his skills are not as good as others, and he is not ashamed if he loses. Children in the army can afford to put them down. So let go of the knot, and chatted with Garna and the flying squirrel. The young flying squirrel was not as serious as Vice Admiral in the future, and was very talkative. After coming and going, the 3 quickly became acquainted with each other. Garner discovered that Dalmizia was actually not in contact with what he thought at the beginning. This is actually a very talented boy with the temper of Tsundere, but it is good for the strong, especially those who don't lose contact. The 3 of them were chatting, and suddenly Garna's sights keenly felt a beam of gaze from the side. Turning his head, Garner found that it was the only female swordsman in this training camp, Glanz Tia, who looked at him. She is sitting with 2 other female marines in the training camp. In marine, there are always more men than women. Women are inherently weaker than men in terms of strength. Therefore, there are only 3 female marines who can enter the training camp this time. Naturally, the 3 of them hugged up spontaneously. Under the firelight, there was a hazy beauty shining on the faces of the 3 female soldiers. Seeing Garna's gaze, Glanz Tia looked away calmly. Garna discovered that her gaze was actually looking at his waist, with the sharp sword 3 suns and moonsects are near. As a swordsman, Garna could fully understand when he saw the famous sword and paid a little attention. Looking at the 2 next to him, who were still having a good conversation just now, Garna got up decisively, patted his butt, ignoring the strange gazes of the 2, and calmly walked towards the 3 female marines beside him. Dalmizia. Flying squirrel. When he walked to the female swordsman, Garna smiled slightly and sat in front of Tia with a calm expression, looking directly at her. Tia didn't flinch and looked at Garna calmly. This is the first time Garna has been in the training camp to look at Tia head-on. Tia was about the same age as Garna, tall and only a head shorter than Garna. Long lavender hair, tied back by a golden strap into a short ponytail, under thin eyebrows, there are a pair of clear eyes, with a bit of coldness, and thin lips reveal a pale pink. The appearance is not a great country, but the temperament is as gentle as jade, which makes people look very comfortable, and even the more they look, the better. For a while, Garner was a little fascinated, completely forgetting the 2 female marines next to him. It wasn't until Tia showed a faint shame in his eyes that Garna was awakened. Not at all embarrassed, Garna didn't say much, and directly picked up the famous knife at his waist and handed it to Tia. Seeing Tia's puzzled eyes, Garna blinked and said, "Big sharp sword 3 sun moon sex near, were you looking at it just now? Swordsman encounters a famous sword, don't you want to see it?" Tia laughed dumbly, not hypocritical, and generously took the knife, placed it in her hand and looked at it carefully. Pulling the sword out of its sheath, the 3-day moon zone approached under the moonlight, and the golden blade pattern on the azure blue sword reflected dazzling light waves and charming eyes. "Good knife," Tia said, her voice was susu, not coquettish, but it had an infectious power that made people want to continue listening. Garna raised his eyebrows, but didn't speak, and took the opportunity to check Tia's attributes. Name, Glands Tia race, Celestial Devil Fruit, Nun talent abilities, Resurrection of Heaven and Man, Racial talent, in the case of dying, burning the blood of heaven and man can completely restore one's own injuries and physical stamina, and at the same time greatly increase the combat effectiveness. Race talent, cannot be copied, Ju Shao's finale, Supreme Kendo aptitude, Exquisite 9 orifices, Super savvy. Mirage, the hallucinogenic power inherently possessed by the celestial race, used in battle, unknowingly interferes with the opponent's 5 senses. Insight, naturally powerful inspiration, you can perceive the flaws and weaknesses in the opponent's attack. The detected attributes made Garna stunned, second only to Kuzan and Garp's 5 abilities, indicating Tia's terrifying, Admiral level potential. Every ability is so powerful, superb aptitude, ability to confuse the 5 senses, and insight into weaknesses, everything shows Tia's unparalleled combat ability. What makes Garna most concerned about is there such a race in the fascinating celestial race, in the world of One Piece in memory? That terrifying racial talent made Garna coveted. The resurrection of heaven and man, this ability, is simply one more life, equivalent to the immortal body. There are so many different races in One Piece, and it is not surprising that Garna does not know. Chapter 24. Before Garna woke up from the surprise, the voice of the system came again, explore within 5 meters, there are weapons that contain imprints, which can be copied. Is it possible to copy special talents? Special talent, brand. Garna reacted wittily, and then looked at the knife Tia placed next to him. Within 5 meters, apart from the Sanryu Ezong approach, there was only the famous sword held by Tia, who was also a swordsman. Judging from the system's response, Tia's knife also has a brand, indicating that it is at least a good knife-level sword. Copy. Garner said silently in his heart. The number of copies is insufficient to copy. Damn. I was excited for a while, forgetting that I had used up my only copy opportunity, and I wanted to copy again, and it would take a while. But it doesn't matter, he can afford to wait. This is Tia has finished appreciating, raised her head, and returned Sanryu to Garna. Thank you, this is a good knife. Tia said. Your sword is also good, it looks like it's also a treasure sword. Garner took it and asked tentatively. Hunxu Ziuaoan, my love knife, but not as good as yours. Tia picked up the knife and handed it over. The left writing of Hunxu belongs to one of 50 Liangkuai knives, and it is also a boutique among Liangkuai knives. It has a long history and is a rare treasure knife. Garna looked at the crimson blade in his hand, but he was thinking about waiting 3 months before copying the brand of this famous sword. I don't know what changes it will bring to him. A rare good knife. Garner praised. Of course, Hunxu is a good knife, but in my heart, I don't lose to the big knife. Tia said with a slight smile, and her words revealed her love for the knife. You are also a famous swordsman. It's rare to meet such a powerful swordsman. You have time to learn from it. Garner handed the red snow back. Good. The girl's eyes were clear. Garna didn't say anything more, turned and walked back. In the grieving eyes of Dalmizia and the flying squirrel, he sat down calmly, lit a cigarette, and looked at the starry sky contemplatively. Celestial race, Garna thought in his heart that this might be a race that disappeared in the long river of history. In the war 800 years ago, countless races participated in it, and there might be the ancestors of celestial race, who is right. The second day was another brutal physical training. This training lasted for a week before Garp stopped the boring training day after day. Begin to teach the top secret moves in Marine, Marine 6 Styles. Marine 6 Styles is rumored to be invented by Marine. After countless generations have worked hard and refined the invention, the 6 styles are beyond the peak of the human body. Due to its extremely high practicability, world government has vigorously promoted it in Marine and its CP organization, but only a very small number of people who can break through the limit or approach the limit can master several of these 6 formulas. If master has all 6 styles, it is said that even demon fruit power can be a battle. The representative figure is the hero of Marine, Garp. The master of the 6 styles, with pure, superhuman physical skills, killed the New World pirates Trembling, becoming a demonic figure in the pirate's mouth. The 6 styles are, Shaving, Iron Body, Paper Arts, Moonwalk, Tempest Kick, Finger Pistol. It is possible to learn one of these methods through the teaching and guidance of a dedicated person, through systematic training, and the master's scientific power-generating skills. Without the guidance of Marine or CP, she only relied on her own exploration and wanted to learn the 6 types. He had no monster-like qualifications, even the qualifications for dreaming. The simplest shave of the 6 styles, in an instant, stepping on the ground at high speed dozens of times produces explosive reaction force to move at high speed, which seems to disappear in the eyes of the enemy. At a distance of 100 meters, it only takes 3 seconds to reach the speed of starting the shave. The speed is so fast that Madara can be seen. Moonwalk is an advanced stage of shaving, stepping on the air with a strong foot, generating a strong airborne force, and walking in the air like stepping on a staircase. Paper arts and iron body are the defensive skills in the 6 forms. The former can freely control the power of the body by unloading its own power, like drawing on paper, flexibly using the power of the body to defend and dodge in battle. The latter is through the ultimate beating of the physical body, invigorating the strength in the exercised body, making itself as hard as steel, and facing ordinary swords and firearms, it can be unscathed. Finger pistol and tempest kick are attack skills in the 6 styles. Finger pistol is to infuse most of the body's power on the fingers, making the fingers as hard as a sword. With lightning-like speed, they attack and explode with bullet-like lethality, which can easily penetrate the human body or even steel. Tempest kick, threw a powerful kick, rolled up a vacuum attack, and issued a sharp slash, just like the flying slash of a swordsman, inflicting strong damage to the opponent. After all 6 types of Grandmaster are proficient, they can even develop a series of powerful extension techniques. Advancing can attack, retreating can defend, it is the strength of Marine 6 styles, and also the confidence of the most powerful force in the sea. Although some of the officers, including Garna, had already been in contact with 6 types of fur before entering the headquarters, and even those with talents such as Garna, through these furs, they fumbled with 1.5 moves. However, only in the headquarters, here, can you learn the most orthodox and most systematic 6 forms. And the one who teaches the students the 6 styles is the most powerful man in Marine, who is currently in the human position. Garp is at the peak of his stamina and skills. I can't help the students not being excited. I believe all of you have a vague concept of Marine 6 styles, but what I want to say is, don't be too ambitious. Although I will teach you all 6 styles, don't try to learn all 6 styles at once. 6 types are not as simple as you think. Garp's loud voice sounded over the training camp. 6 forms are the result of the hard work of countless people of Marine martyrs. Even if you learn one form, it is enough to be called an elite Marine. Now, I will demonstrate all the moves of the 6 forms. The 6 forms of learning are in sequence. Each of you pay attention to observation. According to the situation that suits you best, first choose 1 or 2 moves for training. Only after you have mastered one move, you can learn other moves. Garp continued. After Garp finished speaking, he demonstrated that his powerful strength was undoubtedly revealed in the 6-style display. After the show was completed, except for a few top geniuses who were thoughtful, most of them even looked dumbfounded. Kahahaha, boys, don't think about eating fat in one bite. Garp laughed, pointing to the 6 rear admiral level officers who came by the side of the barracks and said, the next half-month, they teach you 6 basic moves and development methods. Each of them is Grandmaster one of them. After you learn the basics, I will teach you advanced moves. Garna looked sideways, and the newly appeared instructor should have arrived temporarily. It seemed that he hadn't seen it in the military camp a week before. 4 men and 2 women, standing tall and upright, and capable of blowing their faces. Chapter 25. Next, the trainees scattered around and surrounded the 6 instructors, listening to them interpret the essence of the 6 formulas in detail, and then deciding what moves they would learn. And Garner, who has long understood the 6 forms, decided the order of learning from the very beginning. For him who has master moonwalk skills, shaving and moonwalk only need to learn systematically, but it is not the first thing. In terms of attack, Jianhao's attack and the development of wave fruit are sufficient to provide powerful attack power. So now the first thing to learn is paper arts and tempest kick. Paper arts can improve the control of the body, can dodge, is the first way to save lives. Tempest kick can be used as a means of attack without using a knife. So Garner came to the instructor who taught paper arts and listened to him disassemble paper arts training methods, one by one, and explained in detail the precautions for cultivation. After saying it again, I just said nothing, so if you want to learn all 6 types accurately and quickly, you must be a genius among geniuses. And this is the preliminary screening of these elite students by Naval Headquarters. There is no room for the weak to survive in this sea. If you want to maintain the justice in your heart, you can't rely on faith alone. There is not enough power to talk about maintaining justice. In Garna's cognition, paper arts should be the most difficult move among the 6 styles. The other moves only test the learner's ability to exert force and control part of the body, while paper arts has to pass on the entire body. To achieve the ultimate softening of the body can be like a piece of paper, facing the attacking moves, and avoiding randomly along the airflow. And Garna, who has the fruit of fluctuation, can use fluctuations to synchronize the frequency of the body, so as to achieve the ultimate control of the body, plus Garp's body skill control talent bonus, which is the most difficult for beginners. Physical control, on the contrary, is not at all difficult here at Garna. It took only 7 days for Garner to master the use of paper arts, as if someone else had practiced it for a year. According to his observations, other people also chose the entry moves that suit them best. Dalmizia chose finger pistol, Flying Squirrels chose moonwalk, Tia chose moonwalk and tempest kick. As for Kuzan, who owns Logia devil fruit, he completely gave up the defensive skills and chose the more aggressive finger pistol. And more energy is put on the development of fruit ability. Then began to practice Tempest Kick. Tempest Kick forms an invisible slash in the air through high-speed kicks. With the talent of physical control, Tempest Kick's progress is also rapid and astounding. After completing the preliminary training of Tempest Kick and paper arts, Garna did not relax. While developing the fruit ability, he continued to practice the 6 types. The 6 types are profound, and the introductory moves are only the basics. And only after you have a solid foundation and learn Grandmaster, you are qualified to ask Garp about the more esoteric 6 types of essence. And after a week, the swordsmanship training carried out made Garner a little surprised. Swordsmanship instructor turned out to be an acquaintance. It was Garp's adjutant, Commodore Bogart. A qualified marine, in addition to the necessary sailing knowledge of the master, the fighting ability is the most important. Bogart still said indifferently as always. Fighting ability includes unarmed combat as well as weapon combat. In this 6 months, in addition to learning 6 styles, you also need to follow me to learn some swordsmanship fighting skills. Under the same conditions, using weapons is naturally cheaper than using unarmed hands. I know that some of you have learned swordsmanship yourself, and some are even good at swordsmanship. So I won't force it. If I am willing to learn, I can follow along, and I want to practice it myself, and feel free to do it. Bogart continued. Garner squinted his eyes and looked at Bogart in front of the team. When he was on the ship before, he guessed that Bogart was a master swordsman, and now he has confirmed this even more. Through systematic exploration, all of Bogart's attributes were revealed before Garner's eyes. Name, Bogart race, Terran talent abilities, Aozora Izumo, strong kendo aptitude, with extraordinary comprehension of swordsmanship. Follow me like a shadow, superb speed talents, body skills are as fast as lightning when fighting. Ishin 2 uses, powerful mental power, which can separate the mind and mind without interfering with each other. As Garner expected, Bogart has penultimate's fighting talent, top-level kendo aptitude and posture, coupled with his long-term role as Garp's adjutant, must have created his strong strength. As an instructor for recruits, it is more than enough. So, is there anything else you want to ask now? Bogart asked very democratically. Seeing no response from the crowd, Bogart began to teach swordsmanship. What Bogart taught is more advanced than the combat skills that Garner and the others learned in the Marine branch. It should be the basic swordsmanship commonly used by Vice Admiral officers in the headquarters. Although it is basic swordsmanship, in Bogart's drill, it is still extremely powerful and dazzling. Garner took it seriously and learned from the strengths of the families before he could merge the strengths of the families into one. Although there is systematic help, Garner never thinks that he can sit back and relax. Wu Yu. The current era, and the era of the Great Pirate a few years later, is an era full of darkness and cruelty, full of blood and fire. The heroes compete, the heroes rise together, and the weak at the bottom live in pain all the time. As a human being, if you can't become strong, you can only adapt to the times and endure silently. Therefore, Garner never gave up any opportunity to become stronger. Only by constantly climbing to the top and constantly becoming stronger can he guard everything he wants to protect in this turbulent era. Garner was eager to absorb new knowledge, to learn, to comprehend, to analyze, and then to digest and integrate into his kendo. There is a kendo teacher leading the way, and the help to the improvement of strength is huge. Although he has top-level kendo qualifications, Garna is still not complacent. In the monster-like naval headquarters, the outstanding are like clouds. Strong aptitude is only the basis for becoming stronger. If you want to stand at the top of this world, aptitude is only one of them. Extraordinary perseverance, luck, and courage are all essential elements. Although Bogart used basic swordsmanship, talents such as Tia and Garna could still see things that ordinary people could not comprehend. Garna's swordsmanship was taught by the palace swordsmanship when he was young. When he was a little older, he practiced with his sister Michaela and learned the swordsmanship passed down by the royal family through the generations. The swordsmanship of the family was originally a very ordinary swordsmanship, but who knows that this generation of heirs, Michaela is talented and loves swordsmanship. Through her improved swordsmanship, the power is not the same. Later, it was passed to Garna. It can be said that Garna, who was young, became a swordsman at the age of 14. Although he has talent in it, Michaela also contributed. 2 years after joining Marine, Garna's swordsmanship broke through all the way, and the swordsmanship he honed in the killing can be said to be out of the cage, and there are signs of a system that he claims to be a faction. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.